Boyle County football. He wants to be in the picture.
He wants to be in the picture.
Okay.
I'm working on Dangle colors today.
You got something to take pictures with?
We're live.
What's that measure?
We're live.
We're live.
UK colors.
All right.
You're live.
We'll call this scheduled session of the court into order. And we'll start out with an invocation by Magistrate John Caywood.
Thank you. May we come together in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, here we are, Lord. Our world continues to have fear, anger, lack of faith and belief in each other, division, and the list can go on and on. It continues to encounter difficult times and difficult challenges. Give us the wisdom, the understanding, the patience, and the faith to make it a better world for all. We ask you, show us the way. As we travel life's path at this special time of year, open our minds so we can find love and respect for all. May we find peace together. There are so many in pain and hurting in so many ways and have lost their way in life. We ask for the wisdom, determination, and leadership to help them in these difficult times. Wrap your loving arms around all of us and guide us with your love and your caring. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
All right. Now I'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next we need to approve the prior meeting minutes, which you have in your packet.
A second.
Motion has been made by Magistrate Gay and approved by, and seconded by Magistrate Ellis to approve the minutes as presented. Is there any discussion, changes, comments? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you. All right, next, we need to approve some bills. And Mariah, is she out? Where is she gonna be out front, outside?
Tom, you can just use your cane and start whacking the door.
Yeah.
That's my enforcement stick.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So bills have to be approved to be paid. Total $3,301,120.35. Standing orders total at $347,912.07.
All right.
Make a motion to approve the bill.
To approve the bill, court seconded by Magistrate Salmon. Is there any? Yes, sir.
I have a question on
Yes, sir.
that.
Did you second the motion or not? Did you? Okay, you did not. Seconded by Magistrate Gay. My bad. Now you can have a question. Yes.
I didn't understand what the report being scanner is.
What page you on?
On page 6 of the.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry.
That's I'm sure that's the radio scanner in Duane's truck.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what that was.
Go ahead.
Are you sure it's not the diagnostic tool that they?
Oh,
Oh no, it's the scanner. Excuse me. It's the scanner for the shop to scan codes in the engines out there at the shop. All the codes. That's what it is.
On page 14, I need to be. Page 14. Same bunch of bills. And
on 14.
Water heater. Oh,
That was-
at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And thanks to Cullen for helping us, cost on that.
Thank you, good.
We approved the line water heater last meeting.
Okay, is that all the questions? Is there any other comments, or
I have one question.
go ahead?
On page 8,
8?
we've got $6,116.44 to Kentucky Utilities. It's the CH, is that for courthouse?
Yes. Courthouse.
So this building here is,
Yes.
Yes.
but the jail is half of that? Is $3,324.87?
The jail, so the way that when that breakdown comes in, the government services center is broken down between the jail, public works.
Okay.
EMS.
The whole facility.
The whole facility is a lot more than that, but the jail pays a chunk of it.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I just was curious about that. Where do the bills for Constitution Square?
John, I'm sorry, I need to stop you. We're having a technical difficulty.
How long do you think, Bill?
I just need to reboot the computer.
Okay.
How much did they
We made it for years without it, we can make it that.
We could, except with, right now,
I think that is a yes. So the total for the bills. to
Could
be
you pull your
paid-
mic down in front of your,
Yes.
thanks.
Sorry about that. Is $3,301,120.35. The total of standing orders is $347,912.07.
And I made the motion to accept.
motion been made to accept, pay the bills by Magistrate Short, seconded by Magistrate Gay. Questions, comments? Wow,
He's got the spreadsheet for Constitution Square.
okay. There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign, motion carries. Thank you for that.
No problem.
All right, budget transfers. Where's our, there he is. Keegan?
Okay, so budget transfers at the time include, there's quite a few. County judge office supplies, court magistrate fringe, county treasurer salary, county treasurer FICA match, election FICA match, election officer unemployment insurance, courthouse postage, refunds, sheriff's body cams, EMA utilities, recycling facility maintenance, sorry, my short report, having issues with the system, couldn't have my short report turned on. Public works, facility maintenance, and then EMS, medical and EMS, repairs and maintenance to the building.
And the total, is there a total?
I got my report when something's going on with the internet, I can get my report and print off.
Okay.
I can go back in there and print it off again and come back with the total, but I don't know what's going on in there, it's like the system's all messed up.
What's court's, pleasure on that? Would you like for him to get a total for you
Comes back.
and come back?
Total, yeah.
Yeah,
Let's put that down the list here.
We'll just move it down into, to your report at the end.
Yep, that'll work.
And, Can we also do we need to do cash transfers the same?
There's no cash transfer.
No cash transfers,
No cash transfers, we got plenty of money in the bank.
okay? So we'll get, go ahead, John.
No, I was just gonna ask, you, are you transferring that around to everybody's account here?
Every time I go down there, I give me some more money. But
Just kidding, just kidding.
So we'll get the budget transfers at his.
Yeah, let me
following the-
get you all the budget transfers that are reported. I don't know what's going on with the system. It's okay.
All right, next I have Mr. Casey Smith from District Kentucky Transportation Department, talk about some things. We need to, somebody,
I got it.
okay,
Couldn't get the extra.
part of your PT, right?
It is, really is.
Is Casey out there?
Gentlemen.
There you go. Hey, you brought your support staff, right?
All right.
Everybody, this is Casey Smith from District 7 Kentucky Transportation Academy.
You were here last year, weren't you?
Yeah,
Yes, he
well,
I thought so, yeah.
maybe the previous year. I
right.
can't remember.
Yeah, I think
a
it's
few
the
times,
third
right?
year.
Yeah. I noticed that you've added a couple of big screen TVs, and
Right.
that's pretty nice. So
Yep.
you're good. Nice touch. All right. Well, I'm Casey Smith with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet District 7 office, and I am here to talk about the Rural Secondary Program. Does everybody have a copy of this form in their meeting packets? Very good. All right. The Rural Secondary Program is a KRS mandated program where 22.2% of the motor fuel tax goes toward addressing the roadways in the rural secondary network. And I'll just, the roadways that we are talking about are, if you look at the back of your form, there is a map. They're the ones that are indicated in yellow. Am I saying that everyone has a black and white copy?
Yep.
All right, very good. I got some extra copies.
Thank you.
But they are the ones that are indicated on yellow. A lot of them are the 4-digit state highways. And, all right, thank you. And I just want to draw everyone.
Same thing.
Yeah, the same thing. Blank color.
Just color, all right. Let's color code.
There we go. All right. Just bring your attention up to the top where we actually show the fiscal years, FY 2020, FY 2021, and FY 2022. Now, I'd like to mention that the estimates that we are showing in those columns for fiscal year 2022 are projections, just like the other the years on there. They are a history of projections. And you'll probably notice that what we were projecting for fiscal year 2022 is probably similar to what you all seen actually come in 21. So we're not really going to be seeing those actual numbers until the end of the fiscal year. The people out in Frankfurt, the number crunchers, have actually been did another iteration of the forecasting of what we're going to be expecting. They are looking that the tax revenue is going to increase a little more than what we are showing here. So what that dollar amount, of course, we'll know, at the end of that fiscal year. Another thing I would like to point out here is there is a new color on our form. We have added a red diamond, which is the approved projects for fiscal year 21. Now you're probably realizing that none of those projects have been done yet. Usually by this time we would be close to getting those resurfacing projects done. However, due to COVID, there has been a pause in the letting of our projects. Just wanted to make sure that you all are aware that we are committing to those two roadways. We have Kentucky 37 Stewart's Lane between Kentucky 300 and US 127 bypass.
Okay, we've got a couple of 37s on there, and I'm confused because up at the top one from FY20, 595,000, that has not yet been done. So is that the one that's approved?
No, that's actually already been awarded and authorized.
But it has not
for
been
fiscal
done.
year 20, yeah. And I believe that they're going to
It was
be.
done last year.
Pardon me?
It was done last year. That started at 270, 243 at Penn Store and came up to Miners Branch Road.
That actually was completed?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Yeah, thanks, Duane. I couldn't remember.
I'm still
the
getting
answer
calls.
to that.
Still getting calls, and it was done last year?
I guess what they're doing is more the extension for 21 that they're calling on. So, okay, thank you.
Yeah, it would be a continuation, actually. In fact, if you look at the back of the map, the ones that are circled in blue, that is the history of the roadways that we've addressed in the past 10 fiscal years. So we can't really do the entire route all at one time due to the budget constraints, but we try to do them piece by piece until we actually get all of them covered in the county. But yeah, this is Kentucky 37 between Kentucky 300 and the US 127 bypass, as well as Gentry Lane between Kentucky 3366 and the Boyle Mercer County line. We had a little bit of a swap on that one last year when that was actually flex before, but we moved it up to the general rural secondary funded projects. Now, what we are going to talk about here is the projects that
Hold on
we're
real quick. On Gentry's Lane, is that going to be just repaving, or are you going to widen that at all, or?
These are just resurfacing projects, correct, yeah. For fiscal year 22, that's the orange diamond projects, we have 2 recommendations to take care of in the general rural secondary funding, and that is the other section of Gentry Lane coming from US 127 to Kentucky 3366. And then also Kentucky 1894, which is Brumfield Road, between Kentucky 34 and US 68. So that's the state's recommendation on how to spend the general rural secondary funding. Now, the other part is the flex funds. And if you look at fiscal year 2022, the county did score a ranking of B on their maintenance record. So it does allow us to share 20% of the rural secondary funds. Now, the reason why we call it flex is that the county does have the ability to give that money back to the state in order to address a rural secondary route. We have found that about 25% of our counties actually do that because the rural secondary routes for the state generally carry more traffic and, accommodate more of the constituents in the counties. But that's really up to the county to determine whether they would like to apply to state road or if they would rather use that money toward their own county routes. Right now, we are forecasting that, we have 131,318 as the 20% share of those flex funds. So if the county wishes to apply it to a rural secondary roadway, we are recommending Kentucky 37, which is Forkland Road, from Miners Branch Road to Purdom Cemetery Road. Now, we did do a portion of Kentucky 37 in, I guess that was, for fiscal year 20. So this would be a continuation from there out to Purdom Cemetery Road. So, in conclusion, we are asking for 2 motions. The first motion would be of an approval of the recommended routes, the orange diamond routes for fiscal year 22. And then the second motion would be whether or not the county would wish to apply the flex funds to Kentucky 37 Forkland Road between Miners Branch Road and Purdom Cemetery Road.
I make the motion on the first.
Motion to approve the orange diamond projects as made by Magistrate Tom Ellis. Seconded by Magistrate Short. Is there any questions or comments of Casey? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Second, Casey.
The second would be a motion of whether or not the county wishes to apply the allocated flex funds for Boyle County of 20% of the rural secondary funds to Forkland Road between Miners Branch Road and Purdom Cemetery.
I also make that motion.
We keep this money.
We normally keep that money to put on county roads. Okay.
And this is a whether or not.
This is,
So, yeah, that was not really a motion statement, but
right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought you'd called for a motion. So does that perhaps mean that the 101,920 that might go to Forkland might go elsewhere?
It'll stay in the county.
It's going on the county road system.
State roads instead of on state.
So it could be split up from Forkland to other places.
Yes.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna get it all, Tom.
I'm going to try.
There's a lot of blue
When-
on your side of the county. We got to be.
That's exactly right. You're totally right.
You
Let's
have
do
been
it pro-
taken care of the last couple of years.
Let's do it proportionally.
I got a little
If
bit
we-
of blue.
Yeah, you got a little bit of
Plain.
blue, but
that 101 goes to helping resurface, maintain county roads.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So what is the court's preference?
I don't know
On
if
whether-
his motion still stands, but I'll make a motion. We hold on to it for county
Well,
road.
it wasn't second.
There was no second.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion of what the court's pleasure is on this. Jason, is that
Yeah. No,
motion to keep the flex funds?
And I'll
on county
second.
roads?
I'll second.
What do you recommend on this, like, a lot of times we don't roll
We do keep it.
Majority we hold on to. We've held on to it every year since I've been here, let's put it that way.
And we were the year before that.
And so Magistrate Cullen made the motion to hold on to the flex fund, seconded by Magistrate Caywood. Now, questions, comments,
I'd like to explain my vote.
okay?
We did get 11 and part of a 12th Road adjoining Magistrate Salmon's last year. In fairness, countywide, I will go with this motion, but I know that the winter has been brutal all throughout my area and particularly this section of Forkland, but understanding the spreading out is going to be needed, and I'll make a comment in a moment about what might happen by midnight tonight. I will go with the motion.
All those in favor of holding the flex fund for county roads, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Very good.
You want me to sign something for you?
Casey, a quick question while you're waiting on that. Have the 2021 project been let?
But they're working on it. So the 2021 projects are on the March letting.
Okay.
We have received a bid on that, and they did come in a little bit high. So it's kind of on limbo whether it's going to be awarded. We'll find out as early as this Friday, actually, if we get it awarded.
So, and everybody knows that Casey's gonna put the bridge up in Prairieville.
Amen.
This year,
It's in the letting too. Yes.
This year.
This year.
We were looking for it before you were born, sir.
I hear that's been in the plan for a long time.
So was that in the March, the bridge was in the March letting? Will it be in April?
No, we're looking at, currently it's April, it may get pushed to May, but.
but
Oh,
it's
no.
gonna happen
Oh, no.
This year,
This year is when we are gonna have it done.
It's calendar.
this calendar
In
year.
fact,
We will find you if it's not.
We were,
We are working on our Casey.
yes, sir.
Do we really need it?
Oh, my goodness.
But we are so.
Go west, young man.
On that project.
Casey, before you leave, one really critical question, because I got correspondence this morning from KCO and yesterday from KMCA. By midnight tonight, we're going to know one way or the other on the gas tax. Can you give us an observation either way, pass or fail?
The comments that we have received, so we've had meetings with the legislators, and talking about projects for the recommended highway plan. There is a little bit of hesitancy on passing that because the gas prices have been increasing since the new administration came in. So that, you can't really quote me on that, but that is our feeling based on the meetings that we've had. So.
But the jeopardy to roads and bridges is profound after this
Oh,
horrible
very-
February ice storm,
Yes, sir. Very much.
more so than most winters.
Well, this bill is really long overdue, and I know they've been proposing bills on this in the past, but actually getting something enacted has been well overdue. We haven't seen really a change, at least from the federal side, since the 90s with the federal tax. So it's unsustainable, and but we always appreciate the support on that House bill. It would be very beneficial. It probably won't go into effect until the next fiscal year. Of course, they don't like to break up fiscal years when it comes to budgeting. So, but yeah, there has been a little bit of hesitancy because the gas prices have been increasing lately. So,
We'll know tonight.
and I'm hoping for the best. Yeah, I'm
Casey,
staying
get back to the
optimistic.
What's the time frame on the bridge has been installed?
Yeah, so we're going to try to take care of it so that it wouldn't interfere with the Perrysville reenactment, the battlefield
Which is
reenactment.
October, be done.
Yeah, it was
before.
And a
October.
festival
We're looking
in
at having
August,
it-
too.
Correct, yeah, having it done before then.
And while school's out of session.
Absolutely.
Exactly, that's another reason.
Yeah.
That'll stop a lot of truck traffic for a while at least.
It'll slow it down.
It'll slow it down. We are planning on having at least one lane open
One lane
across
open
that
on the
bridge. Yeah,
That's
before-
critical for EMS, for fire,
Correct.
or
Yeah.
sheriff's department.
Correct, yeah.
Critical.
Casey, I have one question for you. I've been trying to get something taken care of on Crispin Lane since October of last year.
Okay.
I have a constituent that's really been hounding me about once a month, and Duane's tried reaching out to local. I actually texted Jeremy yesterday. Any chance you and Kelly could maybe put a little pressure on our local to get it taken care of? It's some dead trees that are hanging over that could cause problems, so.
Was that one that you sent me?
No,
Or
that's
something
not
for
what
it?
it is.
Okay, all right. I know that there were some comments about some trees and brush that were gonna get taken care of. This is you said local?
Yeah,
Christmas.
it's
Crispin
Crispin
Lane.
Lane.
Crispin Lane.
So the.
That's a road that needs to be wide.
Oh, okay. About midway in there?
That
Okay.
resurfacing made it harder. Anyway, yeah,
I think.
Jeremy's well aware of it, but
Well, Jeremy, yeah, and I think Willie knows where he is.
Yeah.
I've tried calling the office
I don't
several
know
times
if
when
they-
I was there,
I don't know
so.
if they, you know, if that's something they can do, if they get the contractor.
Okay, so this is talking about brush and limbs. Is that what you're saying? Or are you talking about?
There's at least one tree, maybe two that are hanging way out over the road or dead.
Oh, okay. Okay, I follow you.
Trunk is down.
No, you
the bank. I don't know if it's literally on right away or not, but the tree itself is hanging.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll bring it to their attention. That's fine. Yeah,
Thank
do
you.
that. Sure.
Okay, anybody got anything else for Casey while he's here? He's heading to Mercer County.
This might be Duane.
Sorry.
Duane, did you tell me that the actual road sign at Parksville Cross Pike is ours to put back in, or is it the state's?
What type
Just the post and the words
of name?
at the corner.
We do the name.
Okay, all right, because the state did get one about 200 yards going west before you get there,
Okay.
but that one's still down.
They put a new route.
It just disappeared.
Okay.
It just disappeared.
All right.
That's kind of.
Thank you.
That happened.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Casey.
Casey.
All
Good to
right.
see you.
Thank you, everyone.
Much appreciated. Cross your fingers.
Have a good rest of your day. Yes, thank you.
All right. Next, yes, we have our distinguished group from Boyle County school system. So, Mr. Superintendent, Michael Favors, I'll let you introduce everybody, and then I'll read the citation, come out, and we'll take some pictures, and I'll say a few words. Go ahead.
And thank you all for the opportunity to be here today. It's been a strange year, but there have been some bright spots. And for us, one of the big bright spots has been the football team. State champions. This is Coach Justin Haddix, Principal Mark Wade. So I don't know if they have anything they want to say.
Just blessed to be here. I said, able to get here, and I moved in February. I think I started school February the 4th, and then we were out of school in March, the middle of March, and we were sent home, and I was going, what do we do? Then didn't know if we were going to have a season. I said, here we've moved our family to do this, but what a blessing it's been to be here, and just great leadership all the way around, and great kids, just in this community. I'm very, very blessed. And, obviously we were able to win the last game. I wish it wouldn't have been so close, but
It's scared us.
I'll take the win. I'll take the win. But thanks for having me.
I'll just hit on that too. We've had a very successful year despite the pandemic going on, and a lot of that's just due to a lot of adults making great decisions and the extra effort for our kids. So we're also played this week in the Sweet 16 basketball.
Yeah.
I know Keegan, he used to play, and he was on I guess the last
Team that went to the
championship
state tournament,
basketball.
wasn't
He went to the state tournament, got all the way to the Final Four.
Technically the best team ever.
Guess who they play? Point that out.
Sorry?
Guess who ball plays?
Somebody in Eastern Kentucky for sure.
They play Paintsville. So say a prayer for Paintsville.
Oh, that's this Thursday at 5, right?
Say a prayer for ball.
Thursday at 5.
Broadcast on 790 AM, ladies and gentlemen.
Our overlord asked you guys to step to the mic when we're talking here. Our IT guys just can't hear, so.
Okay, hopefully our overlord or top cover can hear me okay. I've asked these gentlemen from the Boyle County High School system to come today because I felt so pressed in my spirit to recognize the accomplishments of Boyle County's football team. You know, there's 120 counties, and I know there's like 6 classes now, and they all have a state champion. And that's significant in itself. I used to be an athlete in my younger days, and I know what the commitment takes, and I know the benefits of performing on the field of competition, what it does to the person that help them grow as an individual. And Keegan played football at Boyle, and at Georgetown and played basketball for it. Like I say, he was on the last team that went to the Final Four in the state tournament. But what the field of competition athletically does for everybody is help them feel the benefits of a team concept. But you have to inspire, desire to be your best in what you do, to be competitive, to hold your own. And that spirit of competition helps build us as a person and rounds us out. And the fact that Coach Haddix has done such a tremendous job everywhere he's been and is doing here at Boyle County High School, and the way the school system supports him, I thought it was important for the county and all of us did by signing this award to recognize the importance of what you're doing in these young men's lives and building them a strong foundation to be successful, to be competitively successful in any endeavor they choose to do in life. And that is no small foundation. And I went and played at Danville. I wasn't very good, but I was also Boyle County's first soccer team coach, along with Rob Pendergrass back in the 80s. My kids graduated from Boyle County, so I have a real spot in my heart for you, as the superintendent knows. I would like to read this because I want people who see this, wherever it's placed in the school, to realize 2020 was special for Boyle County. Boyle County had a lot of special years. And this award is called the Sustained Superior Performance Award, and I think you had a read ahead on this, but the award recognizes the 2020 Boyle County football players, coaches, and staff where they're winning the 2020 Kentucky High School Athletic Association Class 4A State Championship. Boyle County High School has firmly established themselves among the elite teams of Kentucky high school football. The Rebels have consistently demonstrated their athletic prowess on the field of competition by playing in the state championship game 11 times between 1999 and 2020, and by winning their class 9 times and finishing second twice. During the pursuit of these accomplishments, the Rebels achieved perfection, completing 7 undefeated seasons. In the past 21 years, Boyle County Rebel football has played to an 86% winning percentage of all games played. Rebel football compiled an overall win-loss record during those 11 state final seasons with 155 wins and 6 losses. The Rebels' 2020 championship season illustrated by dominating strength of the team during their COVID-19 impacted and shortened 11-game season, one with a forfeit, I know, when they put up 477 winning points against the opposition's 111 losing points. The efforts of head coach Justin Haddix, his staff, and his players have continued the legacy of excellence established by state championship teams coached by Chuck Smith and Larry French. The 2020 Boyle County Rebel football team has brought great credit to themselves, to their school, and Boyle County. Go Rebels. Given this day, March 2021, and the 179th year of Boyle County being historically bold, signed by the entire fiscal court and myself.
Judge, before we stand, I'd also like to remark, because it's news today, that the Boyle County Middle School academic team has just distinguished itself, and I believe I'm correct, Mr. Superintendent, they're going to state.
It is finished state, yeah, but they did well, and that was a little bit of a rebound for that program, but another example of a bright spot in a difficult year. And of course, we talked about the basketball team. We had our soccer team earlier in the year,
Elite Eight.
Elite Eight. We had both wrestling teams won the region. We had both bowling teams won the region. The beauty of that is we're talking about kids who do a lot of different things. They also excel in the classroom.
Don't leave out the fishing club.
It's done well too. We had a great year in the classroom. We've gotten back in person. You're seeing our kids rebound academically, and we've excelled all year athletically. So it's been a good year. Certainly been a unique one, but it's been good. So,
And Tom,
we appreciate the opportunity to be recognized here today.
That's great.
you said academic team, but also the future problem solving team. They actually got second in the state, and my daughter was on it.
I was just going to say, yeah. Congratulations all around academically.
Again, gentlemen, I think this, I hope this finds a place that people can see the long-standing, sustained, superior performance of your athletic program matched by your academic successes, okay? So it's a tribute to all of you. If everybody'd like to come up and gather around, and gentlemen, you come up here and we'll move this out of the way and take some pictures. Miss Ann, I think, is going to do that.
I don't know.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. We'll have some mask on, some mask off, however you want to do it.
Act like you know each other.
Can you get us off?
Yes, sir.
I think I might.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Wow. Gotcha.
Keegan, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
General, I think bouncing back, this gentleman here bounced back in a pretty scary time.
Oh, I know, I said
Yeah, we're glad to have him.
Whipped it in double overtime.
Well done.
I sent all those to Julie.
Okay, good. Well, appreciate the court's assistance in that recognition, because I know it comes from the heart of everybody. It's not just about athletics, but the athletics is a part that needs to be recognized because of the commitment that, I'm sure we all know that.
Know that very well.
So,
Yes, sir.
all right, next we have Mariah King, request for authorization of surplus inventory.
Yeah.
You have that in your packet.
Basically, Bill and I went through everything in the basement and IT morgue and stuff that's obsolete and broken, and that we can kind of do some spring cleaning. So
We have most all of the counties requested items to be surplus, with the exception of some sheriff's equipment and some public works equipment, which we will, I guess, do next month, next meeting.
Make the motion that we surplus.
You may have any
This,
questions?
presented, recommended.
Okay, the motion been made to surplus the recommended items on the list as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by motion's been made by Ashley Gay and seconded by Magistrate Short. Questions, comments, or discussions?
Judge, I'm just wondering, this equipment, surplus items that we always have, I've never seen it bring very much. We have a lot of counties right now that are hurt. I wonder if we'd be better off, the counties would be better off if we, maybe donated out a few of these items instead of trying to get anything out of it.
We can do that. I understand that Bluegrass Area Development District has a a new initiative that David Duttlinger has brought forth, that some items can be listed on their website to see if other counties want to pick them up at a very nominal cost or zero cost. And I'm if something we have might bless other counties, I'm in favor of that. But it, that'd be a court decision if there's any value to be assessed toward what we could or could not make on it. John, you want to say something?
No, I just, I like the idea, Phil. It's a tough year for everybody, and maybe we could help somebody out. I realize it's probably not in real good condition, but that's the risk they take. But if it can help somebody else, I think I would be in favor of that. Donating through Bluegrass Ad if they have a system that we can use, and if it's not picked up, then we go ahead and get rid of it the best way we can. But give people a chance. We've done that with some vehicles, which has been appreciated and helped other folks. We're all in this together for citizens that live, regardless of what county they're in. So if we can help, let's do it.
I think I'll surplus two
vehicles last year.
Two high mileage sheriff's vehicles for.
That's right.
It was $750 for the two. I mean, most anybody can afford that, but get something out of it.
Get something. At the same time, I'd like to, and I'm sure our people are very good about doing it, but they probably need to be reminded. Anytime that they have something that needs to be inventoried for insurance purposes, to be sure to turn it in. That's one of those things that slips through the cracks sometimes.
We're trying to do better at that.
Yeah, that needs to.
Mariah, we're working on
good. I'm glad to hear that because in past years, I know there's been a time or two that I've heard about it. So
I've done some cleaning up with that,
good.
and I've worked with Keiko on it.
Thank
you.
So the top sheet there has something to do with some old, very unused dash cam, body cam stuff, mostly body cams.
Right.
I think they were probably a disaster to begin with. So
if you leave that
they did
perhaps my discretion to help those who see potential benefits of those as a donation, we might consider that.
Right.
Okay. Is that okay with everybody? So.
We need a motion.
Okay.
Do we need a motion on that?
Well, just we're going to surplus everything, and the desire is to be as generous as we can be.
That's just the process.
Okay.
I was giving you.
We'll come back to it.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Motion made.
Second.
Seconded by Magistrate Ellis. Motion made by Magistrate Cullen to surplus the property and be as generous as we can in that surplus property's disposition. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. I'm sorry for the jumping the sequence here. We'll go back to Chris Herron and talk about the EDA local agreement. Thank you, Mariah.
Thanks, Brian.
Yes, we met a couple weeks ago with Earl Coffey and Stephen Dexter to discuss an economic development authority where the Boyle Fiscal Court and the City of Danville kind of come together, have an interlocal cooperation agreement, and they had Stephen Dexter had already prepared something for our review, and we liked most of what he had on there. There were, a couple of changes here and there regarding who would serve on the board, either as a voting member or just to serve on the board. And we worked through some things, came to some agreements. The most recent agreement that we have, the interlocal cooperation agreement, which I think you guys have before you, there's a few changes that need to be made to that we will go over with the city. For example, first paragraph of page 1 of the interlocal cooperation agreement, we would like to have it say in the third sentence down in the first paragraph, the Board of Commissioners of the City of Danville and the Fiscal Court of the County of Boyle. We'd like to add Fiscal Court to that.
There was a technical change there if you coordinated with Julie as well.
Right. And then these are some of the changes that that Tom and Julie kind of looked at together and suggested. Paragraph 3, third line down on paragraph 3. By these local governments, units creating, and it says it's as provided. It's just I think the S needs to be taken out, and creating it as provided. Not a big change there. Second page.
Excuse me, Chris, did she share with you my concern that it says may in that same sentence, that I would recommend that it says which has certain powers, because statutorily we will.
I wasn't aware of that, but I mean, that's
Striking may and putting the S rather than have, make it HAS
I
have.
thought where we were on this was because of last Monday, not yesterday, but the Monday before, that the Danville City Commission made some changes to their presentation, which we have not yet received those changes. So I wanted to give everybody a current, revised, correct copy to review before we have any real discussion on moving forward with the EDA.
So this is not current.
So this is, well, current up until, I guess, Danville meeting yesterday and making some
A week
changes
ago.
too, or whenever they met. So we need to look at that as well. These are just some of the changes that we've seen in the most recent documents that we've been provided. So I think that there's going to be some other things that...
Yeah, 'cause I'm really confused on the actual ordinance under section 3 on page 2, where it talks about selecting an ex-mayor and an ex-judge executive.
I agree.
I'm really confused on why that's there.
I think the city had originally, Dexter had written that ordinance to reflect that it would be the mayor and the past mayor and the judge executive and the past judge executive. And we felt that that was inappropriate to assume
Right.
that the predecessor would serve. And if it's a contentious race, do we want that environment on a new board?
No.
I agree with Magistrate Cullen on that
It
fervently.
was dropped as a requirement and put in as you have that option to do that.
And that
But
person's
that
not going
option
to be a
itself-
voting member. You know, it's...
Is that right, Judge? Did I explain that right?
I believe
Yeah.
so.
But that option itself being in there could cause controversy,
Yeah.
A, with an election cycle, and B, between the city and county,
I
and
think
we don't need it in there.
I think if they want to put an ex-mayor in there as the non-voting member, that's up to them, but it doesn't have to be specifically drawn out that it's or an ex-judge executive. I don't see the thought process behind that. I mean,
We didn't either.
so that would be one thing I definitely would like taken out.
And the interesting thing is,
I mean, it says may also select, but I just don't see the need.
the interesting thing is, Magistrate Cullen and I have not spoken, and before I spoke with Ms. Wagner, she had the same concept. I had already noted it on my draft, that I don't think it's needed either.
I
Well,
didn't...
initially it was the past, and in discussion, I thought that was too narrow in scope.
Right.
If there were value in a reformer, then that's okay. If there's value in that, if it's too contentious, then it's not. But it could definitely only be an option,
the authority.
not a requirement to fill out a 5-position
Yeah.
board.
One of the considerations we really have to be aware of in this document, especially if you haven't read every line of it, is we are going into budget immediately, and this could be an either-or circumstance, because what do we have when we have an EDP and an EPA and a budget line for both?
Yeah.
EDA, excuse me, yeah.
That's actually, that's where I wanted to get to is, and I've brought this up before, you know, I'm in favor of exploring this possibility, as I think I've stated on several occasions, because I think we definitely need to look at doing things better and possibly differently. But I keep saying we've got to be eyes wide open. There's still a lot of unknown questions on this. Because when we're talking about now entering into a governmental effort to acquire, retain, and develop land, I think we need to recognize, we've way underfunded economic development for years in this community. So there's no secret to that. We've been underfunding it for a long time. We have
Well, we've been under revenued as well. That's
we
the
have
problem.
we have a need for to increase our inventory of available properties as well. That's a huge need right now.
Depending upon the approach of an EDA, that could be private sector too. And with, as Magistrate Cullen said, limited budget availability, I'd really rather pursue that than purchase by government of land.
And so that's where I think that's why I'm saying we gotta be eyes wide open, because this does say that City of Danville and the County of Boyle agree to finance the authority's operation and activities on an equal basis.
That's the administrative side. That's not the land side. The land side is open to private sector investment.
I know, but still, again, a lot of communities, it's government investment in these projects. And so I think those are the things that we've got to carefully look at and carefully evaluate as we continue down this path, because it is going to be a costly endeavor. And lots of communities that we consider our competition, which, again, I like to point out that, we're in a global competition. We're not only competing against Bardstown, Elizabethtown, and Lebanon, and other communities in Kentucky. We're competing against Japan, Germany, Vietnam, China, Mexico, you name it. We're competing against them as well. And so it's costly to get into this business in this form and fashion. And, other communities that we're talking about are investing and spending millions of dollars. Do we need to do that? Possibly. But I just want us to be eyes wide open in making those.
All the more reason why when we get into budget session, we be careful about where we spend our money or who we give our money away to, as I've said before. But I'll go back to it that the EDP that we have now, it's been underfunded because we haven't seen the positives that we want to see out of it. So if we had more businesses coming into town, if it was a more successful partnership, then we really wouldn't have to have this conversation, but we're having it because it's a necessity. So.
Mr. Cullen, I would like to correct one thing, comment you made there.
You may not.
You said our money. This is not our money. This is taxpayer money.
I'm a taxpayer.
You need to always be aware of this.
Oh, yeah, I'm a taxpayer. That when I say our money, I'm talking about the fiscal court.
Caywood.
That's correct.
It's worth the emphasis, yeah.
While we're on it, let's also recognize the fact that, Jamie, you were on the group that toured the other communities. In those communities, I think you found government was very much involved in a driving force within those communities, which have been successful in their efforts. And times are a whole lot different than they were just even a few years ago. The playbook of the 80s and 90s doesn't play anymore. We have to be creative and stay up to date in the game that's on the field, and that game has changed. We have to change too. Our role is a whole lot different. We've heard this coming for a lot of years in our conventions and our getting together meetings and everything. We've heard this was coming, so let's not be surprised. Yes, we have to be careful, but let's be open-minded. Okay?
Yeah. No, and I'm completely there with you, and I agree completely with what you just said, because we have to change and we have to be more aggressive. I'm just saying it takes taxpayer dollars, and all these communities have put lots of taxpayer dollars into it, because it takes money, and a lot of these communities are sitting on millions of dollars of investment in parks, and they're just waiting, and it is a waiting game, and they're waiting, and things come, some things don't, some things go, and they're waiting for things to happen, and they have millions of dollars invested. So I'm just saying it's just be eyes wide open.
Actually, I want I want to really probably agree with Magistrate Gay in terms of the reservations, but let's separate the administrative cost, which will be nominal, from the investment of land cost. I can take you to 15 or 20 sites all across the state because I travel the state frequently, and I can see where they mow hay on land that costs $1 million and $6 million to develop. So I will have grave reservations about taxpayer dollars spent by the EDA, if in fact we move on it, for the taxpayer dollars spent for land, but we will need to aggressively go after, and it's not 100%, Magistrate Gay, many of those communities have private sector investment in that infrastructure at $1 million and then 6 more to get it developed and ready to go. And I think that's been one of the areas where too many have ended up with just a really nice agricultural field that produces for the farmers who go and mow it for nothing so that they can have the hay.
I think we need to also keep in mind that I think we're ways off maybe from getting into ownership of land. We have to first solve the people problem. We have to first find the employees. We have to first work on that before we get real deep down with.
Until we solve our unemployment.
Yes, we have to
situation, whatever that may be. I don't see if industry, manufacturing, can't fulfill their requirements now, what makes us think a new 100, 200 person business coming to Boyle County would be any better suited to be able to fill those vacancies?
When the data shows that, I believe I'm correct on what EDP reported, that 69% of the workforce living in Boyle County is going elsewhere. That's stunning.
Well, ask yourself why.
Exactly.
I think probably there's a reason, and it may be wages that drives it. Money drives a lot of things, and I think maybe that's.
That's first and foremost.
And that's what I'm saying. We got to solve the employment problem first.
Build it, but will they come?
I would say
an excellent quality of life here that we work hard to improve upon daily, and I believe they will with the right outreach program. They will come because we have a lot to offer those who are not here. Okay.
But other communities have a lot to offer also. Years ago, and at one time, that wasn't quite the situation. But they have worked, the other communities have worked to improve their quality of life and have been successful in doing it. The competition is extremely keen, but let's never forget, follow the money. The money's the driving force.
Well, we can't afford to lose entities when there's not transparencies, and that happened just last 6-8 months where we lost a major employer of 147.
And the number one point in this, and that's where again I want to. These are just the questions I have. I'm not opposed.
No,
to this.
and I know that.
I'm not opposed to this. I have questions, and the number one point, in contrast to what my good friend here, Magistrate Ellis, is saying, because I agree there's some administrative stuff here, but it says the number one reason for this is to acquire, retain, and develop land for industrial and commercial purposes.
I don't recall it saying number one.
If that's the number one, that's on page 2 of 4 of the.
Gentlemen, before we get too much into the details on this, there were changes made last week, Monday, by the city commission. We don't have those changes, and so we're talking to air right now because we haven't had the opportunity to review the most current revision.
Can I ask one thing? Moving along, right, Phil? How many other counties has taken this endeavor? Working with their city and the
Somerset
and the
I don't know. You'd have a better feel for that than I.
There are several.
and the court, taking this. You talk about a big responsibility to take over the industrial part of your community.
The development aspect.
Yeah. I don't think so.
Well, I think we're wasting a lot of time, because this is gonna be changed half a dozen times before it comes.
What I want to do is get you a most current copy to review, and then if the court would like, why not us go into a combined joint session to talk about it with the city commission and throw these ideas and concepts out where we all get it out and we're working on the same sheet of music.
Great, let's do it.
Is something like that of value to the court?
It would be if we kind of have more of a finalized kind of idea before we go in and
I
stuff.
agree. We're not there today.
No.
We're not there today.
Wonderful.
All right, so
Moving right along.
we're moving right along. Okay,
Thanks,
I
Bill.
will get you a updated, revised, clean copy of those addendums that the commission has made.
Right, when I get it, I'll look it over and then I'll give it to you guys.
Before you get it to us.
So,
Right, good?
Right.
We don't need to waste our
Okay,
time.
Duane, you're up.
let's wait because, see what the new one has. Maybe they'd remove some stuff. That's all I have.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, I have 4 items on the agenda. The first item, I was hoping to bring before you a successful bid on the Arnold Road box culvert. A couple discrepancies that we're trying to work through, and we were not able to clarify those totally yesterday. So we're still working on those, so I'm going to ask that we postpone that
Table
until the
that.
next meeting.
Till next court.
And I was told that's the 15th, a Thursday instead of Tuesday. Is
That's
that correct?
correct.
Okay,
On the
thank you.
15th of April.
So we'll get that back on the agenda for 2 weeks from now. And it's a discrepancy between the contractor and the state. And with everything going on, people not in their offices all the time and so forth, I think it's warranted to at least give them the opportunity to clarify those things if they can. And if they can't, we'll move on. We'll move forward the way we need
Does the
to.
mattress know where Arnold Road is?
It's,
Okay, it's off Duane Plain. It's a little road that the tankers go up and fill the trains up.
Almost doesn't look like a road.
Right, but that's Arnold Road, and that's.
You go around the curve, it just goes
You
straight.
go straight, yeah.
We used to call them goat pass.
All right.
But that's where they're gonna put
Yeah.
this.
And they, and the railroad folks have helped us with that road too in the past, in fairness to them. And so, they've improved it as well. So, the tile there's 6 tile there and the bottoms of them are rusted out. And so it's, something needs to be replaced and be qualified for this program. So this was part of the 80-20 program that you already, if you remember, approved the agreement back a few weeks ago.
All right.
Okay, moving on. We need to, need to get permission to advertise for the, HVAC maintenance contract.
I'll make that motion.
And we're going to include the courthouse, EMS, Public Works, and Solid Waste. The jail has already stated that they are going to go out on their own and do their own thing, so they are not included in this request. I do have one question, and that is, do we want to do a multi-year agreement? The one that just expired was for 5 years, I believe.
Could we ask for it both ways?
We can.
How's that work, that 5-year agreement? Is it worked all right?
It's a fixed amount for those 5 years, each of those 5 years.
I think the longer you get.
So at least price doesn't go up for 5 years.
Yeah.
But how's the service? I think that's what
The
Ryan.
service has been fine.
Okay.
Of course, the service, the maintenance contract was with the company who installed our new heating and ventilation system. And so we entered into an agreement with them as a part of that contract for a maintenance agreement. So that maintenance agreement is expiring, or has expired actually. And so we need to advertise.
Longer the better.
And
Been a
then
quick
go from
5
there.
years, hasn't it?
Huh?
It's been a quick
It has
5
been a
years.
quick
hasn't
5
it?
years.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so
we'll advertise that. If that's the court's pleasure, I'll be happy to advertise it that way.
Gives us an option.
Yep, let's do it.
I can advertise it for 1, 3, and 5. How's that?
Yeah.
Sounds great.
We'll see what we get.
Duane, before you put it out, just because it could be confusing grammatically, HVAC units that serve, strike the S at the end of serves.
Okay, I don't know where you're looking at, but. anyway.
Second line, dead center, HVAC unit that serve. You got plural units, you got, right now, plural serves. That's
Okay.
confusing, so strike that S
Okay.
on serves.
I still don't see where you're looking at, but anyway. That's
Here, I'll just give you my copy.
What are you?
I don't see where you're talking about either. Look at this.
Oh,
This one right here.
I'm sorry. We sent you a copy of an advertisement that we drafted already, I guess.
Well, I hope it didn't go out yet.
No,
'Cause-
it hasn't gone out.
Good. Strike that S.
Why would you strike the S?
Because it's incorrect grammar and could be confusing.
Serves the courthouse, EMS, and public works and recycling.
Units that
Yeah.
serve. Good
Okay.
Lord, guys. Let's
I'll
go
look
back.
at it.
Let's
I
go
thought
back.
it was plural to plural.
No, it can't be. That's
Okay,
not
moving right
correct
along.
grammar.
Let's go. Strike.
You guys didn't.
Unit serve.
Units serve.
All right. Look at Ed.
Okay, good deal.
All right.
Don't argue with the grammar police.
The world is a better place now.
One little word makes a whole lot.
All right.
All right.
Next, Wayne.
Did you already
I
already
can
vote?
take you in a Supreme Court case we
Did you vote on
participated
it or
in.
whatever?
We need a motion to,
I heard a motion, but-
for the request.
I already made the motion.
Okay, motion made by Magistrate. Excuse me?
You already seconded it, yeah.
You second, okay. Colin made the motion, Short seconded the motion. All those in favor of advertising for the HVAC, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries.
Okay.
Next.
And I know this is just housekeeping as we do this anyway. The salt bids, we have actually already advertised for salt bids. We received an email after your last meeting and gave us about 5 days to register, to participate in the online reverse auction. And so we had to, fill that out, send that in, and we had to advertise because the bids are opening this week, or next week, next week. So I'm making you aware that we did advertise. You still have the opportunity to accept or reject those bids when they come in, okay? So you still have that ultimate authority. But we had to go ahead and do that because of the short turnaround they gave us.
That was Keiko's deal.
Yeah.
Dwayne, I'm gonna give you an
I received that email
impossible,
2 days after y'all met.
I'm gonna give you an impossible task. How do we possibly project X% salt, X% chemically treated salt? Because that was a real tough thing for you guys this year.
We just throw a number out there and then they bid on it and then we see what comes up with it.
What was in the form percentage wise, because it's a lot more costly.
Oh, I know it
Treated
is.
salt,
I know.
which is more effective.
Yeah.
For several years, this is what I did. For several years, we were able to afford the treated salt. So in December, when I ordered salt, I would order just the regular road salt, untreated, cheaper.
Yeah.
And January rolled around and I had to order. I began ordering the treated salt, so I had it during the colder temperature months.
Yeah.
Right. If the winter continued into March, I end up turning around and ordering the untreated again.
And you can usually
Just
get it.
depends on how the winter goes. What happened this winter? We had an order already placed. The salt never got delivered for various reasons. And then we got hit with that. We got slammed with about 7 or 8 snows, every morning we woke up and had to go out and treat the roads again.
Yeah.
And so we had to keep doing that. And so that's what depleted our stockpile.
Right. I understand.
And
There's no way you can predict that, but.
Right.
But,
And so we do our best and we try to keep, especially through the winter, we try to stay stocked up as full as possible. But
right.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we'll entertain a motion to advertise. for
So
the
moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mattel, second by Magistrate Cullen, and discussion.
Probably the proper word be acknowledged because we've already advertised.
Well, I know,
Yeah.
to acknowledge the bid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Advertised, yeah.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you. Next.
Okay, and the last item, we have a surplus equipment list too. I would ask that if you have that list, that you strike off the first item that was on there by error. We are not surplusing that piece of equipment, but everything else we are. We would hope, and I know that the other departments are doing the same, we would hope maybe to try to have a sale at the end of the month, end of April. And so that's why we're trying to get a lot of this stuff done,
You
especially
may
this
not
rolling
have been
stock.
here earlier, when we discussed surplus of the other departments and stuff. The court's desire is to be as generous in our disposition of surplus property as we can be. Okay, and in fact, Bluegrass Area Development District has a portal website that allows for things that have been surplus by one county to be potentially
Okay.
bought or donated to another county.
So they reach out to them.
Well, my only thought on this is if this can bring in higher dollars than that stuff like the monitors and
And it will.
maybe we look to have the auction, and anything that's not bought, we donate.
Good idea.
Well, you have that, trailer
Oh,
over
okay.
there. I remember when we bought that trailer several years ago.
No, I don't think you do.
Well, we did advertise for a trailer one.
We have 3 different trailers.
Reason-
We have 3 different trailers. You are correct.
This is the one that hooks up to a horse.
What's this one for?
This one was used years and years and years ago to haul the old asphalt roller.
Okay.
This one's been around
It's
since the,
not the one to haul the equipment on.
no, well, it was years ago it was used for that, yes.
You that old?
This was here long before you and I both.
Couldn't have been before Phil.
But we still have 2 equipment trailers.
Okay.
Okay.
Got one to haul the.
We have
I'll make the motion.
We have a 10-ton and we have a
All right,
20
motion
ton.
made to approve the surplusing of the equipment as presented by Magistrate Cullen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Magistrate Short. Discussion on public works surplus equipment to be disposed, surplus property.
Nope.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. I believe that's it, isn't it?
That's it.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you, Duane.
We are trying to get quotes for the gutter repairs. If you've noticed the gutter down outside, we've contacted 3 companies. We hope to have at least one quote given to us today. The others, for whatever reason, have not returned our phone calls and will not talk to us. But anyway, we're still working on that. So just to let you know that in case people are
Say,
asking,
where's the gutter?
Yeah, why is the gutter repaired outside? Okay, so.
All right, thank you.
All right,
Send that Miss Angie in. Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody?
All right, how are you?
Good
I'm good. Good as I can be, I guess. All right, where to start? We got a whole lot.
I'm
All
ready.
right. All right, we'll start off with, see, we got the litter abatement first. Just to close out, just the annual report. Pretty much what you see is what you get on there. Just give you an update so far what we've done this year. The jail has done 148 lane miles, 659 bags of trash, and 3 tires. My 2 gentlemen, Daryl and Marty, has done 160 lane miles, 177 bags of trash, 23 tires, 4 mattresses, furniture, and 2 dumps.
Wow.
So it's helped, with the Daryl being part-time and everything. So, it's getting done. It's just going to take time to catch up.
Only bad thing is when you get it all done.
We get to go
Start
right
over
back.
again.
We get to start all over again.
Start all
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the truth.
Take Tom with you. He needs the miles.
Trashy people, that's for sure.
Angie,
Everybody is. Everybody is. Yes.
for the
Yeah.
past 2 years, I've had a continuing concern. I discussed it with the judge, and there's no easy solution. I've got a pickup truck, and I am very careful to have drawstring bags and keep them tightly so that nothing floats out.
Mm-hmm.
But one constituent in a very problematic area, and the judge is aware of this, would like for us to pass an ordinance to cover trucks.
There
I
is
think
one.
that is going way too
It is,
far.
isn't it? It's already
Yep.
in the solid waste ordinance that you're supposed to do that.
Not for my pickup truck.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is.
You're
Is
supposed
that
to-
right?
Yeah, sure it is. It's
Sure,
there.
that'd be good.
It says maturity to be.
Well, then the idea of enforcement. This is almost like some other enforcement thing.
Good luck to catch them,
Yeah,
unless you're
that's
going to
just
follow
it.
somebody
Yeah.
around all day long.
What
Judge.
you do
But it's
What do we
already in
do?
the ordinance.
is, would it be possible to not let them into the convenience center if their truck's not covered?
Do you think that's fair? Do you think that's, then what's my people want to do working there?
Let them throw it away on their way home.
See, that's exactly what would happen.
Yeah,
Magistrate
if you
Sanford
make
is
if you
right.
make them mad, then you got another problem. So,
Yeah. It's a conundrum.
And then
Anyway.
we've got my workers there. Do they deserve to hear that?
Well, do you realize how many calls I would get on my phone?
See, I don't think a
Anything in my mind.
napkin has flown out of my truck the way I cinched those bags. And I don't have a solution, but it's,
I don't have a solution. So
Well, when you get, I tell you what, when anybody gets one, let me know. I'll be glad to hear it
a
after
$1 million
30
solution.
years. So I'll be glad to hear it.
let's move along.
Okay.
Perfect.
Oh, well, you want a motion for you to sign that?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Motion to pay for Magistrate Cullen, second short. We got this.
We don't need
To accept and sign the litter abatement closeout for 2020. All in discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Next is our annual report, which just judge signs is just what we've done all year. But the reason I brought it here for the judge assigned is there's some things that I want to compare since last year that to make you all aware of. The sale of recyclables was a big thing where I've changed some things. In 2019, this is what just comes into me, you know, what we processed was $38,626. For 2020, it was $77,800 last year.
Man. Everybody's
So
cleaning up now.
we've done some serious work last year. So
I think this is a huge positive for Boyle County, y'all. And in no small terms, some of the initiative that she has taken, especially, you know, with regard to practices like for the white paper.
yeah, I've got
and
some of
stuff
them here listed here too.
like- We'll go ahead and go with that.
The board was 499 tons for 2019 was 786 ton. The big thing that and so far since January 1, we have already sent 166 tons of cardboard out, which is 8 tractor trailer loads, averaging like 1.5 load a week.
A lot of packages being delivered.
That's okay.
That's
We
true,
like that
yeah.
with cardboard. It's easy, and the price is up a little bit. This is a beer, office white paper and sorted office paper. You know, we took a whole lot of grief, but in 2019, with just all the cheap stuff before nobody really wanted to do anything, was only 32.4 tons. Since we've changed everything, and last year we took in 76 tons of good, clean paper that's ready to go out.
Afford to buy
Good
some
price.
bigger containers now.
Good price.
They're all okay.
Ah.
They'll be okay.
Oh, I know.
And of course, the steel, we went up, I don't know what is of steel cans, but from 12 tons to 53 tons.
How about glass?
I don't take glass anymore. There's no money in it. But-
This is huge, and what our, and I'm gonna use our waste management, I have a different name for it that I want to present to the court next time they talk about on some nomenclature and name changes, which I think I prefer the Department of Environmental Services for the county, because that's what they're doing, they're providing an environmental service. But in litter abatement and these other recyclables, but the fact that we've collected this much difference in these different categories of recyclables, this is more money that department is making for the county by sales of those items. Right. And
We're
this is
trying.
huge.
We're trying.
This is huge. So
I have a good recycle manager right now that's really on top of everything, and we've changed a whole lot of stuff since she's came on, and it's actually for the best.
Perfect.
absolutely.
Moving right along.
Okay.
Moving right along. But you
Uh,
want a motion for that? So
yes,
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
to accept the 2020 solid waste annual report.
I have the originals with me
Second
for
it.
you to sign.
Okay.
He doesn't recognize you with your baby face over there, so.
I know, right?
Yeah, he does look much better, don't he?
My-
You look better, by the
I heard
way.
a little bit bad this morning, but I think it was Magistrate Cullen made the motion, Magistrate Short that seconded it.
You can count
Okay,
all
is that right?
Yeah.
Right.
I have a question.
Question.
Go ahead.
What do you see in the future with these numbers and what we can anticipate as far as demand, a marketplace for what you collect?
Well, now I have a marketplace right now.
Do you
know, I
see
can-
it continuing
I
pretty
hope.
well?
I hope so.
Okay.
If everybody, I still have people that still complaining to me about some things I've changed, but you have to have a clean, marketable product. It's not going to do no good if John sends me all that paperwork in there after he spilled his coffee on it. It's trash.
But you see a market
Yes.
that
Yes.
for demand for what you work with.
I've got a market right now. I've got all of a sudden it's come out of the blue that we have some companies wanting all plastic. After I've had to train everybody not to, now there's trying to be a market for the other ones. But whether I go there yet or not, I don't know. I may wait to see what happens before I change that.
Are you doing any collection through the city or no? I mean, that's just,
No, just the businesses that want our services. What's curbside is it goes to Republic.
okay.
And that figures in there, that 1,203 tons, that's what they collected curbside.
Okay, all right, good deal.
Anything else?
Nope.
Being no further questions, comments, or discussion, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All like sign, motion carries. Next.
We got the hazardous household waste grant,
I'll make that.
same as it was last year.
Motion made by Mr.
Same as
Campbell.
it was last year.
It is, it's we're asking for the same thing we done last year, do the same
Seconded by
thing.
Magistrate Short.
Been read and looked at already.
Motion to accept the grant application as presented. Is there any discussion on that?
Yes, Judge.
Go ahead.
I don't remember, Angie, I don't remember this language from last year. We will not accept latex paint, oil, et cetera. But I do understand it can be brought in, but another vendor is going to take it away. Is that correct?
Not for,
That the
not,
state does not.
the state does.
I understand,
But
but
we collected it last year.
that's right.
I have a company that just let go.
Did a special.
Well, no, I won't let it go. I'm a magistrate and I'm representing a lot of
We're
people.
taking it, Tom.
Then this is not correct.
We won't
It
get the
says we
grant.
will not accept it. Please don't confuse the person coming in through the gate when it takes place.
Then we can't make application to the grant.
Then we lose the grant money.
So we lose the grant money.
We either have to abide by the grant rules or we don't get the money.
It's confusing to the public.
I take it.
Probably don't know
We
anything
take
about
it. But you just
I know
please
nothing.
let it go. There you go.
From Schultz, I know nothing.
That's what you need to
What,
be. Don't know nothing.
Does anybody else have any other?
And just let me handle it. You do nothing.
All right.
It'll be fine.
This is when it's going to take those canisters I was asking you about.
Exactly. Yes, we will. You know nothing. You just bring your stuff like you should. The grant's there. We're going to have the program, and that's all everybody needs to know.
I've got all these little propane things where I got to.
All those in favor of approving the grant application, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
This is why I do what I do, and you do what you do.
What does he do?
No. All right, I guess we on the surplus property.
Recycling
Yeah,
grant.
okay, I just passed that out. I just got it done. Sorry it wasn't in your packet, but I was waiting on some quotes. So, as you can see, I am asking for 200 and
61,
well, that's with the match and everything, you know.
208, 792.
And I am asking for a new horizontal baler, a bottle perforator, some new roll-off drop boxes that the recycle bins at all of our centers are just rusted out. And I got one new one at Ghost Pike, and I want to get one for each one of the other ones. Some mini cardboard cyclers, and I want to go after my mobile app again. So,
I'll make that motion.
Second.
What are you guys doing here today?
Yeah, I know. I mean, my goodness.
Motion made by Magic Code, seconded by Magic Short to accept the application for the recycling grant.
Yeah, we do.
Questions, comments?
They'll make sure it's written okay.
All
We'll
those
get
in
it
favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
I think after all these years, I know how to write it up and do it. So.
I agree with you.
I got a couple of following items, but I guess we've all been doing surplus property, so
Yes,
I have 3 items here. We have the old conveyor system up there sitting, and then it's a pulverized densifier that I believe that my past person received from Meade County. It was never used, and it's really not worth. I mean, it's a nice machine if anybody want to use it, but it's nothing we need. So.
That sounds like something from Lost in Space.
And then, yeah, and then the heavy metal.
Jason didn't even know what that was.
No, I know. He didn't bring up Hogan's Heroes. You're bringing up Lost in Space.
It's a fire.
Yeah, it's just like they have solid waste. It's sort of like the floater. Yeah, I had to.
All right, I'll make that motion so we can get moving on.
We got one more thing. I have the heavy metal recycling bin. Okay, that's the ones that's got the holes in the bottom and not no good. I can get better money if I just put it in my metal scrap instead of. I'd rather do that.
Motion to approve the the presented recycled surplus property has been made to Magistrate Cullen. Is there a second? Second by Magistrate Short. Questions, comments, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Judge, why don't you just, release the rest of us?
Hey, this is what it's like when you guys are calling in, so it's okay.
All right, what's this last one?
Okay,
Yeah.
this one is,
I'll hold on a
we,
second.
we have a problem. And I guess this is where Chris is gonna have to come in. When the ice storm happened, down at Tri-K, the garage roof fell in
Hey, try K.
at Tri-K. Well, that's where they worked on their vehicles. Well, they called and told me, and that they were going to bring them down here to Dillahay and work on them there. Okay, fine. No, okay. But needless did they say now for 6 weeks since the ice storm, 5-6 weeks, that they weren't going to take anything. So I
Who's
questioned them.
Okay.
No,
Republic.
They're blocked the scales block down there with their truck, and they're not taking material, of course. And I have your contractors and people calling me, what do I do? And you know, when I called Mr. Butler the other day, our municipal rep, well, who is it? Who is it? Who is it that called? And I'll call them and take care of it. Well, that's fine that you called and took care of it, but we have a transfer station down there they're using for maintenance, and they're not taking anything, and it's in their contract. This is my copy, but Chris, you can see I've got it labeled there where it's not in there.
How much have our, people that utilize
That I
aspect
can't tell you.
been inconvenienced?
That I can't tell you because not everyone calls me. You know, I had one gentleman really call me, and really he actually tore himself. But you know, that's who Greg ended up calling. I think Greg offered him a pretty sweet little deal. But it's just like I told him, you're a contractor, go over and take it to Rumpke at Garrett County. It's cheaper anyway. But, you know, bottom line is they're breaching their contract. You know, City of Danville is supposed to be the same way, but, you know, their contract's up for bid right now. But ours is still good for 2025, and it states right there that we will have a transfer station.
Where is the
Oh,
transfer station?
Dillahay.
It's right there at the back of the center college soccer field. So we're gonna turn it over to the county attorney and let him.
I just need to know who the main contact is, and I'll write a.
Well, I guess you could go through the municipal rep, or I have to go back to the office and get you the main manager, I guess, over this part of it. I mean, they're nationwide, but Greg Butler is our municipal rep here for Boyle County.
So do we?
And he just puts me, you know, I've tried talking to him. I said, well, you know, Greg, you know, what do you, oh, it'll be taken care of. It's just like it's not important. And if he calls these people back that's calling me, then it's okay with me. And it's not okay.
So in the meantime, do you need to, I mean, if there's a breach of contract and we get out of our contract with them, do we need to start looking at others?
If that's what you propose to do. You know, I just, you know, they need to open it back up and do what they're supposed to do.
Do we give them a time frame?
I asked the gentleman down there that was working yesterday when I went down and, you know, got the pictures and talked to him. He said, I've told him. I said, is there a reason that you can't take the truck? He says, well, they're working on trucks in there. I said, well, I understand that. But does that stop you from people, you know, bringing stuff in? Well, no. But, you know, I just want it, you know, before it gets to be a bigger problem, I wanted to bring it to you.
How long has it been like this?
Since the ice storm.
Is this a place where we take our?
That's
brush
where
and-
no,
limbs?
this is like building material. You know, you can't take your building materials to the convenience centers.
Right.
That'd be your contractors, your landlords, and people like that.
Like your little pieces of 2x4s and stuff where they
Yeah.
framed your house and they got
Basically,
little treated lumber.
Or
and
if
all
you've
that.
done demolition, you can take it down there.
You know, I'm
This
just
is
gonna
way
throw
in.
this out, since it's been 6 weeks. I would recommend that we give them 2 more weeks to get it resolved and open it up, or,
Probably need
Reach
to
it.
send them a letter.
yeah,
Yeah, send a
It-
letter, and then also, I'd be willing to start talking about entertaining.
Pardon?
2025.
2025. I don't believe in 10-year contracts, but that's the way it is, so.
We may want to start talking about entertaining bids.
That might at least get their attention, if not be worth doing.
Let's wait and see how this plays out. When I think
That's right.
it would be.
I think once they get a letter from Chris, I believe it
My only
would.
concern is that we don't meet again for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so if we don't act on anything for another 2 weeks, the people that utilize those places have been, waiting and waiting to dump stuff other places.
And like Phil said, it'll be dumped elsewhere.
So what is your resolution?
Do you want me to just call him flat out, tell him?
No, I don't see how we got any choice to not.
But I
send
think
them a
it'd be
letter.
better having a letter.
Yeah.
I mean, I can call and tell them ahead of time if you think that'll work, but I still think a letter
No, I
should
think a
come from.
letter, but simultaneously, we start talking about putting out bids in case this isn't resolved. I don't want to be that's 10 weeks.
I think.
Well,
I
if
think
we
he-
put out for bids, you put an RFP out, you're talking another 2 months anyway.
Exactly.
You just can't get someone in here, bam, another company.
Well, I mean, in the contract, it talks, duration. The contract, it says, this contract shall be subject to early termination in the event of any of the following. And I think it would qualify, paragraph 3 says material breach of the contract by either party, including but not specifically limited to.
Just
those
call that to
particular
your
breaches or
attention
defaults.
in the letter.
So,
Well,
So I'll make a motion, we send a letter.
okay.
Second.
Illustrating the seriousness of the,
Letting them know that
Situation.
they breached their contract.
Yeah, this is an active building and renovation time, so
what I would,
Especially right now when we have the biggest boom in construction going on. Price of materials has doubled
I don't see how people can be.
because there's surplus out there.
so your motion is to send a letter stating those facts that you just said.
second that motion.
Even if they didn't want to use inside the building, there's no reason that they couldn't bring
big-
their 40 yards in there and send them on the lot.
It's a
And
big spot.
It's a big spot. Okay, he made, Magistrate Cullen made the motion, seconded by Magistrate Ellis. Now we can discuss it if the main.
yeah, they could take it elsewhere. I mean, it's not our problem that they're
No.
that issue.
More
They
miles,
take it,
more
then
time.
they take it to wherever they need to dump it, but it's not.
it's not, I mean, just because,
They're taking it
there,
elsewhere anyway.
there's no reason.
I'll take
Gets
Lincoln-
hauled out.
Lincoln.
If we ever do go.
And the sad part is, I'm halfway embarrassed because I didn't realize it had been this long that they were doing that until I got a couple phone calls.
Yeah. So how many more people have to? Okay.
Exactly. So,
Now, we
Well,
won't be able
question.
to revisit the status of this until for 2 weeks.
Don't worry, I got another motion.
Yeah, 2 weeks and 2 days.
You have to.
so I'll hear, as soon as the letter hits, I'll hear from Greg.
I mean, do you want to approve my
He'll be
letter
mad
before I
because I
send it,
done
or
this.
like, can I send it?
Get it out.
Send a letter,
I'll send a
brother.
letter.
All right,
I know Tom.
all those in favor of the motion as presented, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign, motion carries.
Chris, do you want to keep that and I'll get it back from you, or?
Yeah, I'll just after the meeting, I'll make a copy and I'll just give this one back.
Okay,
I think
just
that's
bear
all I
in
have.
mind, gentlemen, if we do end up, depending on how this scenario plays out, that there is a different vendor, that facility there, on Delahaye will cease to be accessible.
Yes.
Just as a matter of point of.
Well, I
Do
think
they own
the
the
problem
ground?
is they would love to have it dissolved with anyway, because I think Center has offered them some pretty big bucks.
Oh, dear. Might that have entered into their,
Well, I was told that when I first came here by
pay the fee?
one of them,
We got
so
another Sergeant Schultz over here, right?
So
there's plenty of money there to make it happen, so.
just poured it on.
what's your normal turnaround time for expected response, Chris?
Oh, I'll hear from Greg as soon as he
I
sends
need
it.
to give them 7 days. 5
I like
business days,
Angie's
so-
idea of calling to say the letter's on the way.
That's
It
fine.
it won't matter, as soon as that letter hits, Greg's gonna call me, well, Angie, all you had to do was call and tell me this, and you
So-
done this, and you didn't let me come and,
What's our next meeting day?
15.
So I'll make a motion that if we do not have this issue resolved by the 15th, we will go ahead and advertise for bids for new
New contract.
Do we need to vote on the first motion?
We
already
did.
did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We did, Sean.
I appreciate you trying to keep me in track, but we did vote on it.
I waited.
The motion has been made that if this is not resolved by the 15th of April,
Yes.
then we will proceed with
Well, Alex,
a
I'm always
request for bids for a different solid waste contract.
Yes. You okay with that?
I'm good. If you are good with it, I'm good with it.
That motion has been made by Magistrate Cullen.
May not be anybody else that wants us.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a second?
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna give somebody else a chance. I'll second it.
I was hoping there wouldn't be a second, Judge, because you have just raised a huge mitigating factor. Now, I don't want to talk conspiratorial, but I wonder if those 6 weeks, having access to land that's being offered a pretty penny for, might have just happened interestingly by coincidence. I'm really worried that we could lose that land. We don't own the land, but we could lose that access.
We're not losing anything.
We're not losing anything.
We don't own it.
I understand, but how far will contractors have to carry things,
Garrett
which
County.
is time on the road for them and expense for that house is being built?
Garrett County,
Time
Just
on
right
the
on
road
52
and
on the
expense
line.
for that house is being built.
Lincoln County.
It's cheaper.
Ditto.
We're a lot of them saying it now.
Yeah.
Okay, but the motion has been seconded. It was made for the 15th. So we have more discussion on the motion. I understand your concern, and I don't know that this is the right time to consider that address. It'll only be what new provisions, if there are new, to be able to meet contractor demands, okay? Somebody's going to have to do that.
That's all spelled out in the
Right, in the bid specification.
specifications. So
So,
And they may come back with another alternative, and that'll be back in our court again, so.
when we first took the new people here, when we first took office, I think that first month they came through because there was a request where they wanted to diminish services, and we just kind of let them go out the door without really doing anything.
We let them close on Saturdays.
Right, which was a big day, and I think you heard an earful on that one around that time too. And they didn't compensate in any way. It was just like, hey, we just like to close on Saturdays, and we let them do it.
And that's
so-
why it's not going to happen this time. They've got to do what they need to do.
Yeah.
Or let us move on to what we need to do.
Yeah.
We're kind of been down
Okay,
the road, ain't
is it, there being no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign?
Opposed and explanation of my concerns that now that we know the circumstances of that ground and in deference to the builders and the folks who are doing restorations in this county and the additional cost that would ultimately accrue to homeowners or people who are restoring their homes, I vote no.
Okay, for the record, it is 5 ayes and 1 nay on the motion. The motion passes.
Thank you, Judge.
Thanks, Angie.
I just got one more thing just to add. It's basically, I heard that.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you are.
Go ahead.
There are letters going out to some of the residents, probably more or less Mitchellsburg, places that don't have door-to-door service. I think Rumpke has sent a letter out to asking, $15 a month for them to pick up trash. They're allowed to do that. They're a business. But I am not closing the convenience centers.
Thank
I
you.
am not, people. I am not.
I bet she's got a few calls with that, with those letters going out.
Well, bless them, my man down Mitchellsburg heard about it, so
Might help with some litter out that way though. They're getting it.
I wish they'd offer me. I live in the city, but I'm sorry, but I would pay for it out in the county.
I paid for it.
I don't like taking my trash in my vehicle, so that's me.
So,
Anyhow,
thank you. That covers everything. Appreciate it.
I will leave the originals on Ann's desk
Yep.
for you to sign. And I'll come back and get
All
them.
right, and
Sensitive ears.
Send,
She in the lead.
send the sheriff in.
Hey, Angie, if you're leaving, we just take us to my office, have them make me a copy, and you can leave. And I might get with you so I can get some addresses and stuff.
Okay.
Thanks, Angie.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right, send the sheriff in, if you
Good
don't
day.
mind.
Where do I put paint?
Thanks, Sandy. You put it in there.
I take a break.
Lunchtime already?
Angie was in here so long.
Duane's fault.
I've got good news. Got some money to give you.
Great.
So-
Great. We like that.
Glad to be back in person, actually. It's kind of, I don't like watching that on TV.
Amen to that.
What part do we want to do first? I've got the fourth quarter here.
We want to do the quarterly report.
Okay, I've got that. Do you all have copies of it? Do you have any questions or anything?
Got it.
A long sheet like this, yeah. Yeah, as a read ahead, does anybody have any questions on the quarterly report?
Nope.
Entertain a motion to
I'll
approve,
make that motion.
acknowledge. Okay, motion to approve the sheriff's quarterly report. Is there a second?
Second,
Seconded by Magistrate. Motion made by
balance the
Magistrate.
floor.
I'll give this to you.
All right. And is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Excess fee.
Excess fees.
I have a check here for $3,204.56 to turn over. I can give that to Mr. Hinkle, or
Yep, please.
how we want to do that.
And we acknowledge that, the receipt of that check for that amount, and appreciate it for those excess fees.
Thank you. Other than that, I think our only other is the transfer of the money, the CARES Act money, to kind of pay the camera guys off to get them off Janice's back.
And, so we just need approval from the
I'll
court
make that motion.
I'll
to
second.
transfer the money that's been previously agreed upon. Motion been
I waited.
stepped out of the shadows there, did
I know, right?
But by Baxter Gay, and who was the second?
Second.
By Baxter Cullen.
We beat
Too
you.
late there.
And we're moving along with our progress on that. Still have a couple to install. Sam worked yesterday and got a lot of the infrastructure upstairs set up. Just set up. It's not even remotely close to being ready to go yet. But we're waiting on a couple more pieces to come in, and then they have to run some wire. I don't know about the specifics of what they've got done, but that's moving along pretty smoothly.
Sam and Bill Nichols have that. They know what to do on that.
Yeah, they're all over that. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you still have a estimated time of road ready.
I talked to them yesterday about it, and they seem to think we're 3 to 4 weeks out to get. We're still waiting on whenever they get some more.
So sometime before the 1st of May, we hope.
That's our target. And then we'll have to get WatchGuard to come down and do something, and we don't have a time frame for them yet. Hopefully, if they can make it down pretty quick, but I don't. If they're behind, thank you.
Tell them if they want that check, they need to put you on the list.
They've been all over Janice about that, but we're still waiting on a couple things from. I don't know if it's specifically from WatchGuard, but some of the infrastructure to set all that up. But
Okay.
and as soon as I'll give you updates when I get them.
We have a motion made to make the payment, and it was seconded by Magistrate Cullen. Magistrate made the motion. We had discussion. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. We'll take care of that as soon as our distinguished treasurer can do so.
Thank you. Is there anybody I need to grab out there who's I don't know?
Let's see, next,
Jailer.
The jailer?
the jailer.
I'll snatch him up. Thank
All
you
right.
all.
Good
All
deal.
right,
Come back to you.
See you.
deal.
I did my conceal carry online through the state now online. It's so much easier.
Is it really?
Yeah, you can actually just take a picture right with your phone for them to use. It's like an extra $10, but I was done in like 10 minutes.
So they Don't even have to go shoot your gun up.
No.
No, not for renewal.
That carries over.
Renewal, I thought you was doing.
I lost the postcard and I had to go.
the computer.
Shoot the computer instead.
Got some of those surplus screens we can use.
Yeah. All right.
You go bang,
Well,
bang.
good morning.
Morning. Morning. So I guess we're here today to present the budget. Yeah. Any questions or?
I don't
I
have.
didn't have a handout.
No, we
Okay, I
don't
didn't
have.
have one either. Did you have a handout? No, I thought it was.
Oh, budget. Postpone it then.
Well, we have to have it presented by April 1st by KRS.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve it.
I can tell, we can go over the only big changes.
The amount, there's really no, okay, go ahead. You got the check.
There's really no changes in the budget other than like a 3% like we've done for the past, I don't know, 8-10 years. We moved some money around. We added $50,000 basically to repair and maintenance. Basically, we, just to keep the old girl running.
Who's got the budget? Like,
Keegan should have it.
don't mind, that'd be great.
And most of it is for, like, the laundry equipment, because we only have new washer. The 2 dryers we have are the original ones, and they've told us that when the motherboard goes out on them, there's no more repairing it because they don't even make it anymore, so we're going to have to do that. So we put some money in case one of them goes down and we have to buy. The kitchen, like the igniters and different things on the oven, those stuff just wears out.
Sallyport.
Sallyport, the heaters, the 2 big heaters that go across the top are gas. Of course, we have that $170,000 piece of equipment in there, that the sorter machine that x-rays, the scanner. We have to keep that at a warm temperature, and we're having problems with it. I know they did get one of them fixed, and the other one they're looking at today, but we're probably going to have to be replaced or fixed. It's just they're old and wore out. $10,000 was for door locks, because the door locks are $3,600 a piece, and you have to buy either a left-handed one or a right-handed one. And what we do is we keep the old parts, because we still have to use some of the old parts when we buy the new locks, like the pins and different things. Well, we're out of those. They're wore down. So the ones that we replace, we'll keep for spare parts.
One of the HVACs, the
HVAC, of course, the warranty on it is up, and that's for the primary maintenance of it. That's where they come and change the filters, they change the belts, they clean it. So we just kind of picked our part would be, because I know that's been broken up in the past between EMS, Recycling Road, and us, and then the courthouse is separate. It's the way they kind of pulled that money from each budget to pay. So we have, I think, 10,000 in there for that to kind of cover. But I think we could probably do that ourselves, but I don't know, because the warranty's up on it, the primary maintenance warranty's up. So we could do it probably cheaper with somebody local coming in to do that. So we're kind of looking at that.
COVID. Future.
COVID, what we did is for our COVID salaries, we took half of what we spent last year and put that into this year's budget. So we took half the amount that we spent on salaries, which nobody, we'd had planned for. So we just kind of took that half of that number, and hopefully that'll get us through. I do have some good news though. We did find when we were going through the budget, we were owed $37,962.68 from GTL, which provides our phone services for the inmates. That's not on this, but it was the previous year when we first signed the contract with them, and when we negotiated that, we put a $105,000 guarantee. So that's the minimum amount we'll make. So that year was only a 10-month contract year, because when we signed in August. So what they do is they cut us a check every month, and at the end of the contract year, they give us the difference. And they made a mistake on their part. They didn't send it, and we caught it going through the budget. So we're actually going to have, like I say, almost $38,000 coming into this year's budget, which we need. So, and I'll just kind of give you my staff update too. Right now we have 40 one full-time. I have one part-time employee, but he's waiting on to get his vaccinations before he comes back. So which is we're fine with. I have one employee off on FMLA, and then I have one employee on intermediate FMLA. And today we have 194 inmates, 61 Boyle, 26 Mercer, 102 from Department of Corrections. And of course, one of the biggest things that killed me last year was about a 43%, or this year's budget was about a 43% loss in revenue because the state come in and pulled a busload out on me. And then, of course, the governor was releasing inmates, so that killed me on my revenue. But we are getting our SAP beds full. So we have, I think it's 13 right now that's in quarantine, and they'll come out the 7th. They'll come off on April the 7th, and we'll be able to put them in. So those numbers. So we'll have our SAP beds full. So that'll be some revenue. Of course, we'll always have our CIs. And right now, as long as we're COVID free, when people come in, we quarantine them before we put them in. But we do not have any active cases of COVID. And that's a big part to the county attorneys, both county attorneys and our judges working with us, because if they have not helped us keep our numbers down, there's no way we could have gotten in front of COVID. Everybody in there would have had COVID, including staff. I think I ended up with 12, 13 staff members that did test positive for COVID, and we had like 125 inmates total.
We have the budget before us now. I'll give you a minute to look over it, be able to ask any questions. I will note that last week in my absence, that we did have a joint jail budget meeting. It went well on
It went well.
Tuesday and again on Friday. And our partners in this endeavor, I think, are, I guess, happy with understanding the budget processes and where they are with everything.
And I think, they did have some questions, which was rightfully so, because their contribution amount has gone up, and so has Boyle County's, and it's due to COVID.
Due to COVID, because our expenses stayed steady state or increased a little bit proportionally
because of COVID salaries.
But the revenues went down because of the state pulling out all these and no transfers and everything. So, that went down, and that had. We pointed that out to everybody because they initially were wondering why we're paying them.
Right.
Judge, I want to credit you for the meetings we had last year, because I think that entered into the collaboration
I do too.
that took place. And I know Magistrate Gay and I were part of those most of the time, if not all the time. And I really do think that made a difference. Thank you.
When do we look at the percentages again?
We can.
Usually during July, Mercer County had asked to see where we were at thus far, and we were spot on,
71.29.
So we left it the same. You all can change it again, but budgeting wise, we left it. I'll project the numbers off that.
Off of 71.29.
Is that done annually? I forgot.
It is done annually.
It is.
It's looking. And here's one of the things that worries me going forward is our jail and our numbers are going to go back up. And I'm afraid we're going to hit the 300, 400 again, because
You think so?
I think so. And Chris, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I've talked to the judges, and the judges have been great during this process. But what's happened is the people they've released have not, they didn't show up with treatment. They didn't follow the judge's orders. So they're going to have to come back to jail. So those coming back to jail are going to be on county dime. So that's going to fill us up. With the state, I think we'll be able to build our numbers back up. We don't make money on the state. We lose money on the $32, but it's revenue coming in to help offset, gives us cash flow. So I think that's going to fill up on the beds. We're going to have more paying beds than we are beds that we're receiving revenue from, is what worries me. But I do see our numbers going back up, and by June, I think if we're not back up over 250, it'll be a shock.
Really, that echoes what you told us several months ago because of COVID and the release of the inmates and all the conditions that we've seen with the economy. I remember you saying things quite similar to that.
So do you foresee rooms available for sale to other counties?
No, not with the way we are.
Well, I've been contacted and I've said a similar thing, that I didn't think we had the space to get into that.
You know, we've talked about some other options, but I don't think, I think we're gonna need every bed space, every floor space we have for Boyle and Mercer County folks coming back to jail.
You got, go ahead. That's good.
Is there, in this most recent relief package that the federal government put out, is there any possible money to help make the jail a little more whole from the expenses?
Not that I have seen yet. Not that I have seen yet.
And see, that was another reason too, our revenue was down, is we did not receive any of the CARES money. I've talked to other jails like Adair County, Taylor County, Simpson County, they received the lion's share of that money. We did not receive any. If we'd received some of that CARES money, we wouldn't have been in a bad shape that we're in with the loss of revenue. So that's really hurt us. So if we don't receive any money from FEMA or anything else,
Which we anticipate that we will get some, but those are decisions that the court can make through going through our budget cycle if we want to take any of that CARES reimbursement and appropriate some back to the detention center because they didn't participate in the collection or the statistics going forward to DLG because it was just not done that way then at the time. So.
I'll make a motion, we approve the budget. Oh, no, Bill already made a motion. I'll second it.
Bill made the motion to approve the detention center jail budget, and it is seconded by Magistrate Cullen. Now we can discuss it.
The committee approved it?
yes. Well, the committee and also
Joint jail.
Joint jail.
Joint jail and the committee both approved. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
All right.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Glad you're back.
All right. Next, we have Miss Shannon Green. Good morning.
The first on the agenda is about back in February, we extended the paid COVID sick leave for our employees till the end of March, which is tomorrow. I've come back to court to see if you want to extend it again.
I'll make that motion. I guess one of my questions in making the motion though is, are we still under,
The declaration of state of emergency, we are. It has not yet been rescinded by the governor, nor have I rescinded it either from the county level.
I would make the motion that we let that run until those things have been rescinded.
Well, there's an end date on the contract we're talking about here, and yet it gives us the privilege to continue.
Yes, and we established this policy ourselves with this end date. So it is incumbent upon us to extend it to meet the demands that we still have need of in our county organization. So the recommendation would be by motion, do we extend it 30, 60, 90 days?
Let's go. I'll make a motion. We go to the 6/30/21 as written.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion made to extend it 6/30/21, made by Master Gay and seconded by Magistrate Short.
Ellis.
Ellis, okay. Boy.
Trying to get some balance on this side of the room.
Is there any discussion on the extension of the COVID-19 leave policy that the county has? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. All right, next.
Next, we have a position opening up, and we have advertised and reviewed the applicants, and we would like to hire Missy Galloway as a new administrative assistant. She would start April 7th with $16.35 an hour as her salary. plus a stipend for fiscal court clerk of $9,000 for the year.
I'll make that motion.
I think, is that start date accurate?
That's what, yeah.
I'll second it.
All right, motion to accept has been made by Mr. Gay and seconded by Magistrate Short. Any questions, comments, or discussions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you and welcome.
Welcome.
Did anybody like to ask Missy any question?
Why'd you move out of my district?
Whose district did you move into?
Yours?
Yours?
Yeah.
Okay.
The balance of power has been shifted.
I know. County moved over to God's country.
I love God's country too. I look forward to working with you guys.
Thank you for being with us.
Judge,
Good to have you on board.
this may not be the appropriate time, but if I could, I'd like to have a few minutes meeting with Shannon, you, and with Ron, myself, personnel, basically, after we adjourn today.
Okay.
Julie,
That'd be all right. It's about 5 minutes.
you need Julie too.
Yeah, Julie, come in too.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's about something that I think is kind of out there that I want to discuss so we can be thinking about how to handle it.
Okay, all right,
It's nothing, it's just something that I think may be out there.
okay.
We need to be ahead of.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next,
Julie.
we have Miss Julie now at the podium.
All right, good morning. Is it still morning? Yeah, good morning. Okay, let's start with the kennel regulation discussion. I think this is this version 3 or version 4?
Yes, sir.
34. You say 34.
34. Yeah. Okay, so what I did is I took the kennel. Also, let me back up a second. At your spot this morning when you sat down were 2 forms, okay? And I just want to point those out. Those are part of this discussion, so if you could locate those. So what I did is I took all reference of noise regulation and went back to the original ordinance that was passed in 2016 or, yeah. Updated some of the language that was wrong in the ordinance, and I think I pointed that out at the last meeting, and added some regulatory steps for kennel regulations, kennel inspections, which is the one form that says Boyle County Inspection Report. So what we're proposing is a business license for kennels of $100 a year. They will be inspected once a year. If there is any deficiencies in the inspection, as you note on the form, they'll have to come back within 10 days. 3 failed inspections within 1 year would pull the license. If you tick 5 or more items that are unacceptable on your first inspection, you would not be you would not be licensed for a year. But the items that we're looking at, a lot of these come right from the ordinance. They're pretty standard things that you would expect to see in a kennel anyways. And these are commercial kennels. These are not homes. These are groomers, breeders, boarders, anybody that keeps and houses at vets if they groom and board. If they are a medical hospital, no. And that's in our ordinance.
But if they're a medical hospital that does groom and
Yes,
board,
they will. Yes, absolutely.
As opposed to post-surgery, which would not be included as boarding.
Right. Right. Medical hospitals are exempt, and that's in our ordinance. So essentially what I've done is leave everything alone with the exception of some typos and sentences that were wrong. Added a process for inspections. I also added, we have things in the ordinance about complaints, but we have no process, so you'll see a complaint form that will go with this. And then this gives animal control the tools to respond to any complaints. And that's the bulk of this ordinance, what you see in front of you.
I think this is just extraordinary work that Julie's done And I make a motion that we accept both forms.
Okay, the complaint form duly goes to who again?
The animal control. They would use this tool if somebody does complain.
If the situation is found to be truthful,
Okay. I'm
then
looking.
who has the enforcement ability?
Animal control.
Animal control carries it all the way, and they make the judge
Yes.
guilty or not guilty.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
So that's the judge and jury.
Pretty much. That's the way the ordinance was set up.
Okay.
So, for example, and we
Yeah,
might as well
we-
talk about noise.
Where we failed several years ago, back in 16, was
Right.
not having the process
Right.
in.
Yeah.
And I understand
That was.
that's our fault.
Omitted.
That was our fault.
Yeah.
So I understand that.
So they now will have what I envision with this is a two-part duplicate form. So the customer gets, the
So
establishment would get a,
all Citizen A has to do is to get this form, fill it out, and
Yes.
take it, turn it in.
Yes.
Okay.
And,
And
a-
this
and-
form is gotten at animal control. It's picked up at animal control.
it can be, I would
We
like
don't
to put it on our website.
Put it on the
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That's what I would like to do.
Well, there's folks who are watching this, and I'm trying to get the word out to
Sure,
them as they
sure.
watch us, so
Yeah.
so they'll know.
Right.
And Julie, am I correct that my three decibel, distance, and duration come into the adjudication of a complaint so that there's a fair and appropriate
No.
adjudication of the case?
No, I presented that at the last meeting at the meeting before. And then I emailed out to you distance, decibels, and just generic
Duration.
language, and y'all didn't like that either. So I put noise out there and you didn't like it. So then I put out just a nuisance noise. You didn't like that. So I sent out what the city's level is, what I found on the distance or the length of time that a dog would bark, for example, and y'all didn't like that either. So I've taken all that out because I haven't gotten any direction that you
We
wanted
still
in
have
here.
that to go over, which,
Do you want
we're
that?
not there right now with the noise aspect of it.
Right.
So that process is yet to be determined then.
If you,
Of either time of barking length or the decibel use,
Or the distance?
Or the distance.
the distance.
but I need you all to direct me on what you want, because I've given it and I haven't gotten any positives back to pursue that.
Well, there can be
Yeah.
more than one, there could be
Could
more
be.
than one measurement stick used.
Yes.
So I think what I hear her saying is she's looking for some consensus from the court.
Right.
That she hasn't received in her communications.
Well, all three of those things enter into what would be deemed, I think, by any reasonable, common sense person as criteria that would enter into the fairness to any of the 4 or 5 forms of kennels here for something to be adjudicated against them. And importantly, I'm very happy with the form that is a surety bond, essentially, by the complainant, that he or she will have a truly valid claim in the first place. But we need some criteria there to actually make it work.
So I'm confused. Because we keep saying this is all about kennels, but if I'm looking over this ordinance is.
It's more than kennels.
It's more
Oh,
than
so
kennels.
Yeah.
you guys who were here in 2016 did some very important things that really touched me about abuse of animals. I think it still could be improved, but right now, you could lose your animals for abuse, and that was an important issue in the last session of the Kentucky General Assembly as well.
Yes, I did update a few things in here that the Humane Society asked us to do with, if you see a cat with an ear clipped off, that means that cat's been spayed or neutered and released back into the wild. So there is a few updates in here I think you would see.
Or
But
the hunter who has his or her dogs out and
Right,
they
that-
stray away from the pack and they have to be collected back will not be taken and fined, for
But
example.
in the terms of a noise complaint, because I think that's what we're talking about here, if you look on page 15 at the bottom and then at the top of 16, the ordinance said that if the noise or the barking or whatever it is interferes with the reasonable use and enjoyment of neighboring premises, if the person is found to have violated this section, they shall be fined between $10 and $25 for each offense. And each day of violation shall constitute a different offense. So essentially, if somebody has a barking dog, we'll use that as an example, lives somewhere and it's annoying the neighbors and they file a complaint, animal control comes out, that dog is barking, and okay, they're going to fine him somewhere between $10 and $25. That can go on for ever because there's no stopgap in this ordinance for that. But there is something to incentivize the dog owner by a financial penalty to keep their dog in, get it,
And this
quit
is the
barking.
language in the 2016.
Right,
This is
right.
not-
That's the way you all had it. Some of you weren't here.
Of course, reasonable is in the ear of the beholder,
Right.
and that's
Or an
very,
ACO officer.
All right, and I just wondered on this. I
Yeah.
think it's great what you did on the kennel, which is addressed in this ordinance.
Right.
But do we go ahead and amend this? To amend an ordinance, we've got to
You have to
first
read
reading,
it. Yeah.
advertise, and all that. Are we gonna do that and then turn around and amend it again?
A lot of time to get to where we are, and we still haven't resolved the issues of noise.
I think it could be easily challenged on reasonable being in the ear of the beholder. And that's why these criteria of decibels, distance, and duration would give us something very substantive on which to act. It's not reasonable that somebody might walk up to my fence when I've got two dogs out in the backyard and they live within 50, the neighbors are 50 feet away, and they stand there and cause those dogs to bark. That's not reasonable. And that's why distance comes in, the decibels that those dogs are barking when the distance is the appropriate distance, and the duration absolutely comes into any complaint, because I think it's written as 20 minutes or more.
There's no length in
Oh, there's
here.
no-
No, I took all that out.
Okay.
Right, because I had suggested too. We order some of those, devices where you
They're
can.
freebies.
There's
They're
an app.
freebies.
There's a decibel
App on your
app,
phone.
and it works great. So
Well, I mean,
yeah.
No county expenditure of citizen
Yeah.
funds.
So
Well, I think you'd have to have some sort of calibrated something.
I think that's.
I mean,
okay
they're
for
more
the-
professional, but I think for the purpose of us kind of figuring this out,
Yeah, that's fine, but if we're
yeah.
gonna put something with the animal control, we can't,
right?
there has to be some sort of calibrated something or
Yeah.
whatever.
I mean, you
it
can
could
spend up to
interfere.
$400 on
I'm
a,
well aware.
actually more than that for a meter. You probably know a lot about that. So it's really what do you all want? Do you want to regulate the barking dogs? Because I had that and you didn't
And
like
of course,
it.
it's all animals is the way it's written.
Right, it is.
Cows, wooing.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the first ordinance was written in April of 16. And in 5 years, it hadn't been questioned or brought up in any way. So it has a way of working out, I think. This theory that we're operating under has been time tested. So it's only recently that it's come up. And it's come up because several reasons, in my opinion, that I'm not going to state, but it has presented obviously a situation.
I think Phil, you had one in your district a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. And so,
Actually, that's one reason I think it came up, Phil, was because
Probably
of the
initially
situation you had.
2016.
and that was,
Plus, we had
Yes, that was in 16, we had the major problem out
the
there.
major, the very sad situation with those dogs.
Well, he's a breeder. He's breeding
Yeah.
salmon in a residential area, and he just didn't work out.
and this inspection report would take care of a lot of that. I do believe. Yeah. And at least make them accountable.
So what does the court want to do?
I think we just need to move forward with what we have here. And roll on at this point.
I agree.
And
Yeah,
you
I think
using,
it's-
Jamie, are you thinking using the measuring stick, if you may, of distance, decibels, time,
Duration.
length of time as
No.
a guide.
It's not in there.
Well, but that's to be determined from what I'm understanding. Those measurements.
At a later time.
If we're going to modify the statute,
And wait.
then do that, but I'm at your all's disposal. If you want to do it, let me know. If you don't,
That has to be determined, what he's saying, before we go through the first and second reading.
I understand that.
yeah, I'm
Get
saying
it
if
all
you're
at
going
one-
to do it,
Get
do
it
it.
all at one time. I
Let's get it all
understand.
at
Does
once.
the city, I remember you sharing with us the
Yeah.
city ordinance. It doesn't.
It's not in there.
It's 75 decibels, I believe,
It has decibels.
and 70 in a, it's like 70 decibels during a certain window of time and 75
Yeah.
in peak times, I guess, or active times. 70 is pretty low. I will say 70 is pretty low. 75 probably would be a good starting point. There's a duration I've seen anywhere from 10 minutes to 30 minutes. We could look at that, but
The train at the trestle on Maple Avenue is over 90.
90 minutes or 90 decibels.
Decibels.
Yeah.
So, he circulated these options, and so where do we go? What do we do?
I mean, I haven't seen any city criminal complaints or anything like that since I've been doing this for a little over 2 years now. I'm on
Spent
my
a
third
lot of
year.
time
I haven't seen
on
that.
something that at the city level has not amounted to anything.
Yeah, I don't know what their noise complaint is. I don't know what their level of, or quantity, I guess, at the city is. I don't know.
I did get a phone call the other day, like, hey, if you're doing the barking dog, then you need to look into the tannerite,
Yeah.
which is, the explosive that's
Explosive.
blowing up and you can feel it 2 miles away. I mean,
And then it's so complex that when our football team sets off the cannon and I'm sitting there at 6571 Perryville Road and rejoicing that we scored again, then tannerite challenges that circumstance. This is very, very difficult, folks.
Yeah, it is. And I think that was one of the points I made. in
Right.
One of my emails
Yeah.
is that it is a very difficult challenge with noise because, you have the neighbor with the loud vehicle that likes to rev the vehicle and is always out there working on it or whatever. And it's extremely loud. I don't know if it has a muffler or not. I don't know about vehicles, but it makes a lot of noise.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the neighbors that like to shoot off their fireworks
Yeah.
all summer.
Oh, right, yeah.
Well, if you did decibels, distance, and duration in this ordinance, it would only pertain to animal noises. A whole noise
I'm
ordinance.
still more
is-
worried about,
Yeah.
I mean, right behind me, I've got fields of cows
Cows.
that move constantly, and I don't care.
You
That-
can't go to those cows. Well, my God, you're gonna close down every farm?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it says all animals in here, and so
I think it's
chickens.
good like it is. Let's move right along.
Here's, let me make you all aware. I have a fair number of letters of the neighborhood, Argyle, and on the north side of the kennel. It's incredible. None of us in this room would put up with this. I'll be glad to read them, but I don't think you want to take the time to do that.
Well, the interesting thing
But-
is I could get 24 who affirm their joy that the kennel is there.
They're not living next door to them.
Some are.
Actually, yeah, there's a couple in there that live in that neighborhood that appreciate that.
Well,
Go ahead,
there's,
John, you got the floor.
I'll try to breeze through these. This is letter, it's 9:30 Sunday and the dogs are allowed to continuously bark. It's impossible to open the windows during the nice weather we've had lately. I don't mind a dog barking, but this is not normal. It's consistent, unintending dogs that are allowed to give off the definition of what noise pollution is. My wife and I have spent our life savings on the house, and it's very disheartening, defeating, and infuriating that this is happening. I'm a firefighter. My wife is a nurse that works at night. We usually sleep during the day, not anymore. Even upon closing our windows, we are still hearing the barking. I feel this noise will devalue our property should we decide to sell. It affects the quiet and peace that we should be able to enjoy on the patio. I could go on. Live in Argyle, and when I walk, especially on weekends, there's a lot of barking that can be heard coming from the kennel. Hearing this constant noise has reduced our peaceful neighborhood to one that causes stress. Received a call from Mr. Hunter expressing our displeasure upon hearing the dog kennel. In the email, he explained there'd be no outdoor runs, only a play area. But after the construction, the dog runs and the dogs are left out barking. I believe we were lied to. If you move in a nice neighborhood and built a noisy business close to your house, how would you and the members of your fiscal court would feel?
In contrast, we have a for-profit employer in the county who has met every criteria of the fact that this is ag land. There's about 30 or 39 acres there. They don't own it all, but it came in under existing statutes, ordinances, and the accolades that they are getting. They are often, and right now, over capacity. They've had to turn down 15 individuals, some of whom live right there in that area, this weekend because it's Easter weekend and families are in, families are out, and dogs need to be kenneled. It is, again, it's beyond dogs, but in this specific case that we're talking about. And for every complainant, I know that we could easily find that there are a significant number, if not far exceeding those who are concerned. And there was an incident recently that is very disturbing, and that's why I'm so thrilled that Chris and Julie have gotten together in terms of this document. When you sign it and you are claiming something, there was an incident just recently where someone walked up to the fence because there were 4 very large dogs out in that yard, and this person induced, encouraged, incited those dogs to bark at the top of their lungs, and this person had an iPad the entire time recording this. If that showed up in court, I think that the flip side would readily be handled and that case would be dismissed. So let's do this honestly, fairly, and professionally. But again, there is a for-profit employer paying taxes, employees paying occupational taxes, and we have a very successful new business here that came in under every existing statute and under the old ordinance, which has 0 enforceability.
May I read one more, Judge?
Yes, please.
I work from home and have had problems hearing my colleagues in meetings because of the barking from the kennel. I often pray for rain or snow so that I can get some peace from all the barking. At times over the last 7 months, I have been awakened by the dogs barking from inside the kennel. My bedroom and the bedrooms of my children are on the opposite ends of the house facing the kennel. They have all been awakened as well. The lights from the kennel that shine on the home are extremely bright, so the lights come into play here too in this particular communication. Not sure why they're so bright. Thank you.
All right, so we've been down the road. We have what I think is the preponderance of a significantly improved ordinance from 2016, with the exception of its addressing the noise aspect of a nuisance as it relates to kennels and or dogs. Okay? So what?
Section 8, page 15, or Article 8, Section 15, I'm sorry, Article 8, Section B, under page 15, we're gonna put farmers out of business. We're gonna put anybody that has a chicken out, they're gonna have to get rid of their chicken.
Roosters in morning.
Yeah. Noisy animals. At no time shall an owner or guardian keep, maintain pasture.
Well, Danville has an ordinance you got about roosters, I'm pretty sure.
This is our ordinance.
We're talking county though. This is our ordinance right here that talks about the county. Within the county of Boyle County, Commonwealth of Kentucky, any dog, cat, or other animal that habitually barks, whines, howls, meows, crows, cackles, or otherwise creates noise in such a manner so as to disturb the peace and quiet, or result in serious annoyance or interference with the reasonable use of enjoyment of neighboring premises, when any person found to have violated section shall be fined, blah, 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 blah. Again, that goes back to, anybody that wants to have, any sort of chickens, done. Anyone that wants to have cows, done. Any of those things.
Donkeys.
I was just going to say, we have shepherds in this county, folks who have sheep, and they have Pyrenees out. And more importantly, from what the judge just said, that donkey is going to warn the coyotes and warn them very loudly. And they abut some of the.
Our humane society could be affected by all this.
No question about it.
The test of time. This is April 16th. What was passed in 16? 5 years ago. It's not, and the wording's the same. It's not been affected.
Well, that's my next question is, these calls are being made to you and you. Where does animal control come in this? Are they responding to these, and what are they doing?
They have no process right now.
This
That's what I'm trying,
process.
yeah.
This is.
I mean, it
this
has
is
this
the-
in
been the
here,
issue.
but they don't have any kind of form or process for how to find people. It's sort of on the books, but there's been no direction
So
given
I'm
to
gonna
the
go back
staff.
to your request of us sitting down for an hour or 5 or 5 take, and coming up with something that actually makes this make sense, because that paragraph right there scares me. It should scare Tom, as someone else that has lots of farms, and Ronnie in their area that could shut down lots of our agriculture. So
If it doesn't have metrics, criteria, measurable meaning metrics, criteria, I don't know how we could put James and others into the burden of saying,
and again, we're going back to
well,
having another animal.
you think it's a nuisance, but I don't.
I mean, you could exclude farms. I mean, I'm sure Chris and I could come up with some exclusion for
There's
agriculture.
KRS out there, but
Yeah.
if you're gonna make the animal control person the judge and jury,
Yeah.
then
And prosecutor.
Well, they already are, but we personally don't have a process to give them to implement.
They are, we just don't have.
And-
this is
animal
one of
neglect is a Class B misdemeanor.
Yeah, and they do. I think, Chris, you've seen
statutory.
stuff come through for neglect and
So,
abuse.
But one
and-
of the interesting things
abandoned
is
animals.
the different animal abuse. Like I don't see
Horse neglect.
see,
Yeah,
animal
that's what I'm saying.
animal abuse could be lots of different things. To me, like if I see somebody with a chained up dog outside for all hours of the day, that to me is abuse. But
Yeah.
that's not in here. And I
It's
guess
allowed in here.
Yeah, if we were to have like, what the Humane Society would say, they probably would say that too, but it's not in here.
They looked at this and gave me what changes they wanted. I think the language that's in here is what they recommended in 2016. But I serve at your pleasure.
It sounds like we still need another session dedicated just to this issue, okay?
Yeah, might as well.
All right, so we'll come up and put that on the calendar, outside of this. What would you all think about if I got somebody from KDA, Kentucky Department of Agriculture, to come and address the issue of noises in a county agriculture zone area? What their experience with it is across the state and how it's been dealt with or not dealt with.
And they or CAECO or KMCA have something as a template where it takes in these 3 criteria so
I
that,
don't think that exists. I don't believe that exists, Tom.
and I think we know why.
The KDA might have some insight, and I at least would I would at least extend my hand to
Let's
see
see.
if there is anything.
We're going down this
Good.
rabbit hole. about stuff
Not-
regarding things that we don't need to talk about. This, my understanding, should be about the kennels. We keep going back to like these noise ordinances, whatever. If we can regulate, because those are the problems we're having right now, are the kennels.
But isn't that an element of a kennel? Isn't that an element of it? The noise of a kennel?
Well,
In general?
yeah, if we could have something that kind of like just drafts out the whole just kennel part, get that solved, we're opening up a can of worms.
Yeah.
Commercial kennels, yeah, whatever.
You didn't have this until the ownership decided to put it without reading the ordinance that was passed in 16. And they probably weren't aware of it.
No, they weren't.
They weren't aware of it, but it was on the books.
But they had attorneys, from what I understand, or go through saying, what do I have to do to open up? And they didn't even know it was there. We didn't even know it was there.
That's
It
right.
was on the books, though.
Yeah,
It
but
was.
It was on the books. I can't judge who is going to do the research.
But this gets back to fast track in any community to help a new business, no matter what the business is, to understand the myriad things that that business prospective owner has to go through. And I know that Danville has done something about fast track, and I think that's something that we need to look at so that it's one-stop shopping to understand all of your requirements when you're going to open a new business. Otherwise, it's going to be that we have magistrates who don't know we've got an ordinance, and we have 20-plus quote-unquote kennels of variety who don't know that they haven't been paying their fees.
You know, I still go back to the position that we're arbitrating something that is not before us right now. And if it needs to be before us, I need to know what your desire is to include.
concentrate on the commercial kennels.
Okay?
This other stuff is going to throw, we're creating more issues with the language in this ordinance that's there, that luckily has no teeth to hold it right now, because, I mean, honestly, you walk by my house, I've got an electric fence with 2 dogs. Those dogs are going to see you walking by. They're going to start barking. Generally, the dog's not going to bark unless somebody's out there to start aggravating it. And then it goes back to what Tom did, where he had where somebody said they had an iPad after they, mess with the dogs. I mean, the distance thing, just need to figure out the kennels. We keep going back to noise and whatever, but the kennels and the noise is where we need to go down. And
I think the consistency of it being a regular daily thing is persistent in pushing the subject. If it had, sure, I've got a dog next door to me, and he may bark at 2 o'clock in the morning twice a year. Do I wake up? Yeah, I do. Am I going to complain? No. It's probably happened twice a year. He might do it. So, but if it happened every day, I'd probably be doing something about
but
it.
you're not talking 2 o'clock in the morning. You've got letters that are saying during the day. I've got 5 houses around me, and my houses are all acre lots or more, that have dogs outside that will bark all day long because they're barking at each other or whatever, or there's just things happening. So the issue is that we're going to bog down Chris or bog down whatever with a lot of these, things, when the root of the cause is the commercial kennels, whatever you want to call them. Then we need to figure out a way to fix that aspect. And this other part really scares me as far as,
We still got work left to do.
I like your idea, Judge, about the
I'll reach out and see if there's anything of substance there.
So what changes
One
do you
other-
want on the
what-
kennel?
I really hate to bring this up because you would think I've got nothing else to do, but on the Matt Jones show, sports show at 10 o'clock,
Yeah.
6:30, they talked about this
Right,
the other
yeah.
day.
His,
Were you listening, Chris?
Yeah, he has a co-host, Ryan Lemon,
Yeah.
who has the
Yeah.
dog out in the yard, and the next door neighbor is moving. She's a
Well-
80-year-old woman, and they're mad because it's a dog. And he's like, I'm gonna let it run
If
around.
you got nothing better to do, Chris, than listen to Matt Jones.
I'll listen to it, the podcast after hours.
Okay. But you heard this too, that they brought up the fact that there's some things that you can put on a dog that would keep him from barking. Did you gather?
I missed it.
That is
Okay,
not always
that was
true.
talked about.
No,
I
it's
don't
not.
know. I have no
It does
idea.
not work. I had a dachshund that we couldn't.
Oh,
But but
Shock collar.
there's
was
other
it.
ways,
Shock
there's
collar.
other ways maybe
Yeah, I had
to deal with this, to be considered, so.
All right, just so the public knows, we're
We're working on it.
We're working on it, and we got more work to do, but, regarding this aspect of the ordinance, the recommendations that have been made are good, but you'd like for us to go back and go through each section and be,
There's a lot of concern in the ordinance, that's all.
a lot of what?
There's a lot of concern in the ordinance, how it's written. Especially when you're talking about, when you're defining other animals in there that are agricultural. I mean, this goes right back to the thing we have with Hunt Farms, where they want us to release them from the bond because there's a state statute out there, and then we have our own. And so we hold them to that. So when you say you may bring someone from, Department of Agriculture in here, okay, but we've got a different ordinance. So I don't know what that is going to help if we carry a different ordinance.
There's one more thing that I would bring up, and it's interesting when Jason's talking about making it kennel-oriented only, and yet Magistrate Caywood brings up a Matt Jones show on private, personal property with a pet that is a, quote, nuisance. So how do we not include me out there and I buy the worst barking St. Bernard you've ever had at 6571 Perryville Road, and my next door neighbors on each side are tormented constantly. So John, you've brought up an example of why it has to be broader than just kennels, and then you've really opened a can of worms, because we have hunters all over Jason's area and mine.
This was in the city, in a condo area, regime type area.
But you
So
brought up that it came in a neighborhood circumstance, and I'm saying you couldn't just limit our ordinance to the kennels.
Yep.
So just to conclude, are there any changes to the kennel regulation language that you're requesting?
Not right this second. Let's get together.
But we'll still have 2
You did a
readings to
great
go.
job on that. I think you did an awesome
just want
job.
to make sure.
You did a good job, Julie.
I just want to make sure I'm not mishearing something.
All
Okay.
right, let's
All
go.
right. Second item I have is we need authorization to bid out our cable franchise. This is required by federal law. You have a request for proposal bid language in your packet.
I'll make that motion.
Discussion?
Yeah.
The judge and I talked about this with Julie in the room, and obviously, please give it to us. We still, even with the new wonderful tower up on the ridge, in storms, if you live 100 yards below, if you've kept all your forest, in the summertime, if the trees are leaved out, and you've got a perfect signal 2 miles away, line of sight, but you don't have it within 100 yards of your home. I'm prayerful that we can get a cable company that somehow can reach out so that the 3 gentlemen from the school system who are here today, who've been in touch with me to say it's been really difficult for all your constituents out there in all of Western Boyle County to participate in education this year. I don't understand cable at all. I understand the tower significantly, because we all met last year or the year before in Frankfurt when ATT was willing to come and meet with us, with Kylie and some others. So I'm just prayerful that enhanced cable could somehow address, if nothing else, the school children and the ability to get that last mile so that we can truly communicate all throughout the most remote parts of the county.
All right.
District 4 is good to go.
We request a motion. I request a motion to advertise for cable television franchise bid proposal. Entertain that.
We already made a motion.
Jason and Phil.
I made.
Jason made it, and who seconded it? Magic Short seconded it.
Bill.
Going.
We're back on it.
All right, so I guess that was the discussion period after I failed to recognize the motion.
Okay, you're tired.
I am.
We worn you down.
I am. You have. But anyway. There being no further discussion, all those in favor of advertising the franchise agreement,
Aye.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next.
All right, the Garden Club has requested permission to install a monument recognizing the Blue Star and the Gold Star
I'm gonna hold off my motion to allow our veterans to go ahead and.
survivor. They'd like to put it right out front here by the Vietnam Memorial, here to the left of the courthouse. Yeah. It is on a stone, mounted at ground level, costs the county nothing. The Garden Club would pay for everything. It does have a few more processes. If we approve it, they have to get it approved in Frankfurt by the State Garden Club, but they'd really like to do
I
this.
think you should.
So,
No, I
Jack
don't think.
Henry should approve this, so I'll make that motion.
I'll
All right,
second.
motion made to approve the Blue Star Memorial marker to be placed on the courthouse property, made by Magistrate Phil Salmon.
Seconded.
I second.
Seconded by Magistrate John Caywood. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in
Wonderful.
favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you.
Another wonderful thing from our garden club.
They appreciate it, and the judge is familiar with the program.
Absolutely.
It's
It's a good program.
a good program. It's a good spot. I've researched. I went over and looked, and I've been involved in the location. It wasn't my favorite, but considering everything, it ended up being probably the best.
yeah. I just have one other little thing. We applied for the utility grant through the Bluegrass ad. They have asked us to coordinate a public meeting. With all federal funds, you have to have a public meeting. So I will be working on getting a date with them and send that out to you. It's not a big deal. It's just something we have to
They're the
do.
administrators, but
Yeah.
we're assisting in this.
That's
grant
it.
For utility reimbursement. Okay,
Julie,
thank
would you see if Kylie Hubbard could be available if we hold that meeting? I think she'd be interested. She might not be able to make it. Congressman Guthrie's aide. I think if nothing else, she'd be pleased to know that it's going on.
All right, next we have our treasurer.
Thank you. I apologize about the budget transfers earlier. I was having no problems with getting into work, but so everything that was included in budget transfers were judge office supplies, magistrate treasurer salary, treasurer FICA match, election FICA match, election officer unemployment, courthouse postage, refunds, EMA utilities, recycling facility maintenance, and I had to create a line item for the cameras because that was not in this year's budget. So in total, the budget transfers are $238,967.96, with the majority of that being the camera. And that's just for the general fund. For public works, facility repairs and maintenance, which totals $970.27. And last year's EMS with maintenance, repairs to the building, with medical supplies, and the total for that is $5,694.47.
Is that the water heater aspect?
Yes.
Make the motion, we approve the budget transfers.
Budget transfers. A motion made by
I'll
Magistrate
second
Gay, second by Magistrate Salmon. Discussion.
We
Anybody?
still don't have this in front of us though, right?
We don't usually have that in front of us, but, sometimes.
I'll do whatever pleases Mr. Cohen.
You want to see it? Copy of it?
We normally don't get the full one, but we usually get like an abridged one.
Okay.
Well, I will personally get it.
Let's make a copy for everybody, and that way just 2 pages, isn't it? Front and back.
Yeah, I'll make it front and back.
What else we had?
So actually, we do have a cash transfer.
We do have a motion on the table, but we'll have to come back to it. We'll come back to it. Go ahead.
Okay, we do have a cash transfer. Mariah actually you all approved it in the bills. what that is, and I don't know if the jailer, mentioned it, we're gonna take that 194,400 that you all had set aside last year, for renovations, and we're just gonna roll that back over to the general fund and not include that in the jail's budget this year until we figure out what we're gonna do jail wise.
That was the holdback on the marker. I guess a marker is a better place for, debt service on the future. That's what that's about. Everybody understand that?
Jailer's aware of that?
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Is that it? Why don't you go ahead and make copies of,
You don't have to make me one.
huh?
You don't have to make me.
I don't want one either.
Anybody else want one? Okay. We'll make one for Magistrate Cullen. And John, you want one?
No, thank
Okay.
One more time.
Okay, go ahead.
So I would recommend that we approve as a court to extend the net profit, filing deadline to May 17th, and that'll match, the federal government's extended deadline. So I think that we should.
Oh, I like
do
that.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
We gotta come back.
Another one yet.
We gotta come back. Won't you, is that the last one?
So I think,
Okay. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and make a copy for Magistrate Cullen on the budget transfers?
Okay.
And we're holding in abeyance the previous motion until he can see that hard copy, get a hard copy. We'll vote on the extended, deadline to May 17th on the, net profit tax submission. Everybody clear what the motion is? It to match up with the federal guidelines, May 17th. That's a new tax day. Any discussion?
Bill?
Yeah, made by Magistrate Gay and seconded by Magistrate Sammons. All those in favor of extending the tax deadline to May 17th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. We'll wait until we get the hard copy back on the, budget transfer, and then we'll give it a minute, and we'll entertain that motion, which has already been made and seconded. Yeah, we can go ahead and fill this time with a committee report. Anybody got one? We'll go around the room.
Yes, sir. And I may need a little bit of help because I was home barely convalescing. So my colleague on the committee to my left will help me when I stumble and fall. We met at 10 a.m. on March 10. You heard a good bit of this today because it carries over to what Jailer Wolford had to say. The inmate count at that time much lower. 48 Boyle, Mercer 26, DOC 90, and other county 6. At that point, there were 0 COVID cases. 2 employees were on medical leave or medical issues. We have currently 3 staff positions open, or at least at that time. The jail is participating in the number of inmates housed to start and knows that the housing of inmates is going to rise. Community inmate work program update, state inmates have started picking up litter. HVAC maintenance is underway in its contract. And as you saw today, we're far past the work on the new budget. Magistrate.
That's it. Yeah, we worked on we looked over some of the budget stuff and the HVAC. That is a preventative maintenance contract. And that's kind of where we talked about budget earlier. That's being separated out.
And we adjourned at 10:40.
Okay. Motion.
He was drugged up still at that time, but he was present.
Somewhat.
Entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the jail subcommittee is.
I'll make that motion.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made, Magistrate Gay, second, Magistrate Short, to accept the minutes as presented by Magistrate Ellis. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, motion carries. All right, next. Next committee.
He pointed at me, I guess we need to give a report on the, let me think a second.
Is this animal control or what?
Animal control. met on, March the, 2nd, 11 o'clock. Present was Magistrate Short, myself. What's this lady's name out there? Christina and, Mr. Good and the new guy. What's his name, Ronnie?
Elias.
Yeah.
Anyhow, the three of us met and we had hardly called the meeting to riot talk, which I'm chairman of that. Called the meeting to order, which we were rudely interrupted by some lady. I still don't know her name. She's got a strange name, and she wanted to introduce herself as the boss, more or less, of the whole operation. Ronnie questioned her about it interrupting our meeting, that we was in a meeting, and what she had to say did not pertain to us at all. Which, I thought that
That was partially a little bit perhaps my fault,
No, it
because
wasn't.
there were two meetings.
No, it wasn't Julie.
I know, it wasn't Julie.
Julie interrupted us rudely a little later. Go ahead, sir. So, anyhow, we got, strange that the first time that I have had a meeting with animal control or anybody, that we don't have any animals. They've all been adopted out.
That's not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing. They're doing a wonderful job, and, place is clean. Seemed like, Good was on the ball. He didn't feel like actually attending the meeting because he'd had most of his teeth pulled just a few days prior to that, and he was pretty bad shape. And, but we, and Julie, I apologize for that smart remark.
She'll get you back.
Anyhow, that was about the crux of our meeting. We adjourned at 11:27. Thank you. I move we accept this ungodly report.
I'll second it too.
Motion made by Salmon, second by Short. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, motion carries. Next.
Did I remember it all?
Well, you, pretty much so.
Probably more than he wanted.
All right. Is there any more on this side?
No, sir, that's it.
Okay, on this side. Committee reports?
I got mine last time.
You get, okay. Is there any other committee?
I've got
reports?
one.
Okay, go ahead.
It was on solid waste committee meeting. It was March the 2nd,
10 o'clock.
2021 at 10 o'clock at the Government Service Center. Present was me, Bill Salmons, and Angie. Angie discussed the litter issue, the upcoming grant application, and the annual report, 2020 annual report. She also said that all limbs, brush, and pertaining to the ice storm they would take it at Allen Springs and at Perryville convenience centers. We discussed the upcoming budget cycle, and Boyle County will have a free state tire collection event in the fall. That is the date will be set by the state. We adjourned at 11 o'clock.
All right. Motion is?
Motion made, accept the committee reports.
I second.
Motion made by Magistrate Short, second by Magistrate Salmons. Discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, motion carries. Are there any other committee reports that need to be presented?
I'd like to make a correction to your report. We've adjourned at 10:50.
Is that like grammar nitpicking?
Let's
You read yours, I'll read mine.
All right, we have a motion as it relates to if we're ready on the, budget transfers.
Tick tock.
Are we ready?
Tick tock.
We're ready. The motion was made to accept the budget transfers as presented, and, I forgot who made the motion.
Bill.
You
He did.
made Magic Gay and seconded by
I second.
Magistrate Salmons. Is there any discussion on the budget transfers as the treasurer presented and the hard copy was presented?
Of question.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you for that.
Move
Next.
adjourned.
No, not yet. I'm gonna give everybody a few minutes to say something around the room. I would call it magistrate's moments, not hours, okay? So we'll start on this side and go with Magistrate Ellis.
I'd just like to thank the judge. I won't be specific about the issue, but I think we're all going to be hearing, because people somehow are finding out that we've got 5.8 million coming in. And I'm already hearing from constituents about works type projects that we all have in all of our district. And so be aware, it's going to be a hard thing to adjudicate how in the world we use all that 5.8 million. And the judge had a lot of substantive things to tell me yesterday about what's out there on the horizon. I appreciated it.
All right, thank you.
I would just like to ask, and maybe this needs to just be put on the agenda for the next meeting or a future meeting, is an update on the jail project and plans. What direction we're actually with that. And also, I think it would be good to, this may be a special meeting as well, but to meet with the city manager and or the city commission and talk about the city master plan that's been put together for Rivera, and really review that with the county, because I know there are some things that they're showing on their plan that tie in with this building, and it'd be good to kind of.
You would like to have a separate meeting, a joint meeting to discuss the master plan?
The city master plan, yes.
All right, thank you.
That's all I have.
Magistrate Simmons?
Okay, as you, I think everyone's aware of the fact that, we had about 11 counties that, really had a lot of problems with this flood. And, this past weekend didn't help it a lot with, Nashville, for example, Nashville, Tennessee, which is not in our state, of course, but they had a lot of problems with about 7 inches of rain in 48 hours. Well, anyhow, I don't know where you see anything on the Facebook or anything with Keiko, but we decided at our meeting last Thursday that we would do our best to try to help these counties that are really in a pinch and spent probably all their funds or either claims been denied or either they just need extra money. We decided to put up money where the county can loan, county can borrow up to much as $500,000 without paying any interest or any loan back until July of 2022. And we felt like this would really assist and help some of these poor counties that are needing help. And as you're aware of the fact that this loan, they do pay it back, the interest rate is a lot less than you get anywhere else. So we're real proud of the fact that we discussed that, voted to approve that. And so far already, that's Thursday, we've already had 2 counties that are applied for the money. So,
Judge, I'd like to make a motion that we as a court endorse the move of the Keiko board on disaster relief as it was told to us by Magistrate Sammons.
You want a motion of
and yes.
Because we don't in Boyle particularly have any requirement that would take advantage of that opportunity.
We
just want a resolution of support
for Keiko's board move to give help and relief, financial relief, to the counties that were hit so hard in this disaster.
Okay, I will entertain a motion of fiscal court support of the Keiko initiative to help these disaster-related counties.
So moved.
Is there a second to that motion? Second by Magistrate Gay. Discussion? Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
Phil, this is unprecedented, isn't it? It's a wonderful move.
Is there anything else, Phil?
sure, that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Councilman?
I would just say, I last emailed the state about the Crawford House on March 1st.
Oh, please.
Just telling that, kind of frustrated about the whole situation. I hadn't heard back from him. So, still
Been a month.
frustrated.
Been a month.
Judge has asked me to hold on to, we've got 3 potential bidders right
I know.
now.
It's like they ask us to do all this stuff,
And then
it kind of made us feel like they're going to pay for,
Then they
using
done
our
you.
state people to do the survey or whatever, then, you're on the hook for the bill.
they threw
So,
us under the bus.
I don't like that, and I don't like that, I proposed, well, okay, if we got to pay this bill, let's do something where when it's sold, when you sell it, because it's not ours, it's
We
theirs.
could lose a state and national treasure, folks. It's where all the Confederates were encamped because of the everlasting spring below the Crawford House. It is so significant, and we've got to find a way. I'll go to Frankfurt with you if it takes it.
I just don't think I made an unreasonable request to
Not
say,
at all.
hey, when you sell it, which we gave it to him anyway, when you sell it, make sure off the top, we get reimbursed for the survey. I mean, that's not a ridiculous request. But I can't even get a response back from him, so it very much frustrated me.
Send them another.
Okay.
Well.
I mean, other than that, happy Easter.
All right.
Good luck, Boyle County Rebels. Thursday at
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Channel
Thanks for coming.
790 on your radio dial.
Go Tigers.
Is that LSU?
These are just going to be requests for future
Agenda items.
agenda items, yeah. One, thank you, Magistrate Caywood, consolidating Constitution Square row houses. We need to have that finalized.
Right.
And then also would like to have the property maintenance code put on the agenda to discuss.
Okay.
Explore utilizing private snow removal.
I'm gonna let council get engaged on that one. too.
Okay, cool. And then if Center's so interested in buying buildings, they may want to buy this one so we can have a new courtroom.
Office building too.
Yeah.
So
We'll take an
Think of the history you got here.
And do you want that on the agenda? Okay.
I didn't think you wanted that on the agenda.
It's on the public record.
Hey, sounds good to me.
Anything
We're
else?
gonna buy it eventually.
Anything else?
No.
All right, thank you. Magistrate Short.
The only thing I've got is really just this is Easter season. Easter's coming up this weekend. And let's realize what it's all about.
The most sacred time of Christianity throughout the year. So, to me. So, appreciate that. And I hope that you'll be at a prayer breakfast at your church on Saturday morning.
Yeah, you're invited.
I am planning to be there.
Good.
Master Caywood.
Reminder that if people involved in personnel, could we meet in your office, Judge?
Sure.
It won't be long. I'm reluctant to bring this up, hadn't to, but Bill, you connected me and made me think about this. Through my life, I've never been touched by natural disaster. The flooding that you mentioned in Nashville. My sister-in-law may have lost her house. She certainly lost her car. 2 feet plus water in the house. Not a good situation. So many people are touched by natural disasters that if you've never been touched personally by it, I don't think we feel the need of prayer or help or whatever if you've never been through it personally. I never have. I felt this happened Saturday night, and it's not a pretty picture. Pray for those folks who have been touched through natural disaster. Keep them in your prayers and realize it's not easy to go through. Martha's down there now with her, but I cannot imagine making that trip and going through that. And it's not pretty. So keep
Life
those
changing.
people in your prayer.
It's life changing. Yeah.
This will be a life changer, yes.
Judge, I meant to say this earlier. Yesterday marked the end of the Vietnam conflict. I'd like to adjourn in recognition of those who served.
All right. Anything else, John?
Yes.
It's been presented that we adjourn in honor of those who served during the Vietnam conflict. And I think that is an appropriate recognition of the end of that conflict as of yesterday, some
58,000.
74. It was in 74.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? So I
Think
can't,
so.
how many years ago was that? Long time.
47.
48.
No, it depends, man.
58,
Oh, no, yeah.
48 years.
58,300 men and women lost their lives.
And those who came home, their lives have been impacted by that service in one way, shape, or form. And so we do adjourn this court on a motion to adjourn. I'll entertain a motion. And
So moved.
adjourned and moved by, made by Magistrate Ellison, seconded by Magistrate Gay. We do adjourn in honor and memory of those who have served during the Vietnam conflict that we drew to an end 48 years ago yesterday.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, we stand adjourned. Thank you, Judge.